Chapter 3141 30 trillion to the Tao era. Another period of time has passed, and the resources of the demon seed abyss have been continuously exploited by various forces. Yi Tian also allowed humans to enter the demon seed abyss at will, but the realm god with serious eternal Taoism problems was still not allowed to go deep into the demon seed abyss for too long, otherwise it would be easy to be transformed into a demon by the will of the demon seed abyss. Without the obstruction of the demon species, those ordinary resources were taken away by many world gods, and even the resources that could easily cause the eternal Tao species to transform into demon species were also taken away together. Gradually, the resources of the demonic abyss were gradually depleted, causing the demonic abyss to become a barren land. However, no one dares to completely occupy the demon seed abyss. Their inability to control the will of the demon seed abyss means that they cannot truly control the demon seed abyss. If they stay here for a long time, the peak world gods will have problems. So, after many years, the entrances to the demonic abyss were still blocked, and the world gods were not allowed to enter. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, 20 trillion Tao era years have passed. During this period of time, the eternal realm and the world god realm were very peaceful, and the supreme forces disappeared. However, the eternal realm became more and more prosperous, and high-level realm gods were born one after another. Certainly, the human race has undergone great changes, and many high-level peak world gods have been born. Moreover, some high-level peak world gods have cultivated the eternal Tao to the limit and are ready to start to attack the peak world god cultivation realm. This day, a high-level peak world god of the Yi family exchanged a red sky blood golden grass, and then went to attack the peak world god. Since this high-level peak world god has made a lot of preparations, the red sky blood golden grass is just one of the extra-dimensional resources. Moreover, with the help of the Yi family, this high-level peak world god finally succeeded in breaking through and became another peak world god of the human race. In the years that followed, the peak world gods of the human race were born one after another, and there were no longer just a few peak world gods, which was so shabby. The more peak world gods there are, the better Yi Tian's mood will naturally be. In addition, his cultivation level has not improved much, and there is still a long way to go before he can condense the 11th eternal world spirit. However, his combat power has increased a bit, as long as he successfully integrates the second extra-dimensional object. Now, each of his duplicate bodies is fused with a second extra-dimensional object. In this way, 2 extra-dimensional objects can be activated, and the number of extra-dimensional arts that can be displayed will be more, and the combat effectiveness will also be increased. More durable. Therefore, his current strength is much stronger than before. This day, a copy of Yi Tian's body was exploring the death void and came to an area that was blocked by an invisible wall. In order to get here, he sacrificed many cloned bodies, and then he found a safe route. He was about to shuttle over, but was directly blocked by the wall, and then stopped. Immediately, he touched the invisible wall with his hands and gradually frowned. It seems invisible, but it is condensed and compressed super-dimensional power. This is the super-dimensional wall, factory. Yi Tian tried to attack. As a result, his full blow was not even qualified to cause ripples. This extra-dimensional wall was far beyond what he could break, and he was not even qualified to create a crack. Next, he walked along the extra-dimensional wall and found that no matter how he walked, he would encounter this extra-dimensional wall. This made him very curious. Eternal borders. In an ancient city, Yi Tian met the multi-dimensional world gods of the 2 realms here. Over the years, he had many contacts with the multi-dimensional world gods, and his relationship was not bad. And a half-step superdimensional realm came out of the 2 realms sect. Although that half-step superdimensional realm has not come back and I don't know which realm he is in, the 2 ghost gates can still obtain more information from this half-step superdimensional realm. Lots of useful information and intelligence. This is also the reason why Yi Tian befriends the multi-dimensional world god, and the multi-dimensional world god is willing to befriend Yi Tian because he values Yi Tian's potential. Multi-dimensional world god, there is a wall condensed by super-dimensional power in the death void. It cannot be broken through from any aspect. Do you know what that wall is? Yi Tian asked. When the multi-dimensional world god heard this, his pupils shrank and he was very shocked. Yi Tian realm god, you actually went to the border of the superdimensional territory. The multidimensional world of gods. The boundary of the superdimensional territory. Yi Tian was confused. The multidimensional realm god introduced, you should know that our territory is called Territory No. 7362. Yi Tian nodded. He didn't know it before, but last time on the Jalan treasure ship, the peak fruit god of the Jalan treasure ship called this place. The god of the multidimensional realm continued. I don't know exactly how many territories there are in the Death Void, but we are ranked in territory No. 7362. There must be so many territories, or even far more. The division of each territory is based on the boundary of the extra-dimensional territory, and what you encounter is the boundary extra-dimensional barrier. A normal peak world god cannot break this extra-dimensional barrier at all. Precisely because we can't break it, we don't think about crossing the void of death to go to other territories. Quote, the Nagalan treasure ship is able to travel through the edge. Is it because of the strength of the half-step super-dimensional realm? Yi Tian asked curiously. That's not the case. The god of the multidimensional realm shook his head. According to my understanding, even half a step into the superdimensional realm cannot break the boundary barrier. It is said that a special method is needed to cross the boundary barrier. There must be something behind the Jalan treasure ship. There is a real extra-dimensional realm, and only then can there be a way to travel freely and cross the boundary of extra-dimensional barriers. And we don't know this method. If we knew it, wouldn't we be able to pass through it at will? Okay, he has traveled across all frontiers. After listening to the story of the multi-dimensional world god, he had completely given up on traveling across the borders to other realms. This was simply not possible, even if he understood the true power of extra-dimensionality, condensed the super-dimensional Taoism, and became a half-step master. There is no way to travel through the extra-dimensional realm. Now it seems that the only choice is to wait for the arrival of the Jalan treasure ship, and then let a copy of his body follow them to the Jalan treasure ship. Only in this way can we truly travel to other territories and see broader territories. Yi Tian chatted with the multidimensional world god for a while and then separated. In the following days, most of Yi Tian's cloned bodies were wandering in the Death Void, trying to harvest as many resources as possible, and he was also trying his best to refine the eternal Tao seeds to improve his cultivation. He must strive to condense the 11th eternal world spirit before the arrival of the Jalan treasure ship, so that his strength will be stronger. Chapter 3142 Ice Ghost Organization. There are still more than 900 trillion ultimate eras before the arrival of the Jalan treasure ship. There is still plenty of time, and the supreme forces of all parties are also actively preparing. Coupled with the resources obtained from the demon seed abyss, many peak world gods feel that it is no problem to obtain a place to follow the ship. Of course, there are also peak world gods whose goal is to recruit employees for the Jalan treasure ship. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of trillions of Taoist eras have passed. At this time, there are only 900 billion ultimate eras left before the arrival of the Jalan treasure ship. It seems like a long time, but in fact, for the peak world god, this time is nothing. Yi Tian did not hesitate to spend a lot of resources to help himself refine the eternal Tao seed, and also helped his relatives refine the eternal Tao seed. However, during this period, there were supreme forces with other ideas. Xuandong Mountain. This is one of the supreme forces, and its strength is stronger than the original Taihao Tianchao Palace. This day, the most powerful peak world gods in Xuandong Mountain sat together to discuss an important matter. These are Xuanlong Realm God, Beishan Realm God, Jutai Realm God and Ludong Realm God. Of these four peak world gods, the one with the lowest cultivation level is 810, which condenses 11 eternal world spirits, and each of them is a perfect level eternal Tao seed, and they are also cultivating perfect level eternal world spirits. In terms of strength, none of them is weaker than Yi Min. Xuanlong Realm God, please tell me what to do. There are only 9 quadrillion ultimate eras left before the arrival of the Jalan treasure ship, and there are only 1 quadrillion ultimate eras left before the arrival of the extra-dimensional storm. 6 Cave Realm Shinto. We can't choose to follow the ship. If we follow the ship, we are not sure of the quota, and the Galan treasure ship may not necessarily bring us into those powerful territories. If we want to enter a powerful territory, we have to pay more Galan treasure coins. How much is it specific? They have to say it. If there are not enough Galan treasure coins, there is a high probability that we will only be allowed to disembark in a territory that is not strong. In that case, there is no point in leaving our territory. Jutai Realm God frowned. Xuanlong Realm God nodded. The employee quota is also a trap. Why are the 6 Supreme Realm Gods not enough to buy the employee quota? Is that really what they said? Haha, it's not because the employee quota is a trap. They know the inside story. There is no way. I don't want to be an employee of Galan treasure ship. Ordinary employees of Galan treasure ship don't get much training at all, and they have very little time to practice. Most of the time they have to help a fab with work, and even some exploration tasks are done by ordinary employees. The probability of failure is greater. Only a very small number of employees eventually grow up. Understand the true power of extra-dimensionality, advance to the half-step extra-dimensional realm and even the extra-dimensional realm. Quote, yes, unless you are the kind of peak world god who is only one step away from comprehending the superdimensional realm, but lacks inheritance, joining the Jalan treasure ship may be a good choice. But joining the Jalan treasure ship, there is no way to escape from the Jalan treasure ship. The treasure ship is here, the sixth cave realm god said. Then if we don't choose to follow the Jalan treasure ship and don't want to stay here, there is only one way. Xuanlong realm god's eyes became vicious. The same is true for several other peak world gods, their expressions became sinister and solemn. Cooperate with the Ice Ghost Organization. This idea came into their minds. The Ice Ghost Organization is a force in Territory No. 3026. This force specializes in plundering the resources of some weak territories. Jalan treasure ship travels to many territories to do business. Although the price difference earned in the process is exaggerated, and even ordinary resources from some territories are sold to other territories at very high prices, at least it is considered a good thing. After all, some resources are very common in some territories, so the price is very low, but some territories do not have such resources, so they naturally have to be sold more expensively, which is reasonable. The Jalan treasure ship does not kill, and even the weak peak world gods can enter the Jalan treasure ship transaction with peace of mind. Therefore, Alan Bouchuan has a very good reputation. But the Ice Ghost Organization is different. They like to kill and plunder resources. Their strength is not as strong as the Jalan treasure ship, but it is not comparable to the supreme forces like them. This time, the Ice Ghost Organization focused on their territory number 7362, because their territory is really weak, although some of the world gods who have gone out have been born in the extra-dimensional realm. It's a pity that even half a step into the super-dimensional realm will not come back, which means it is useless. The Ice Ghost Organization does not have half a step into the extra-dimensional realm, but there are many top peak world gods, enough to sweep across their territory. The reason why the Ice Ghost Organization is eyeing their territory number 7362 is entirely because the super-dimensional storm is coming, covering several territories, and the strong men in these territories have left, which is a good time to take action. After all, many peak world gods are collecting resources. Once they invade, they can just harvest them. However, it is very difficult to cross the border and the ultra-dimensional barrier, and even half-step to the ultra-dimensional realm can't do it. The Ice Ghost Organization does not have half-step to the ultra-dimensional realm. With its own strength, it is naturally unable to cross the border and ultra-dimensional barrier. However, there are some special formations that can still temporarily pass through the extra-dimensional barrier, but it does not last long and consumes a lot of energy. The Ice Ghost Organization relies on this special extra-dimensional formation to plunder some weaker territories and achieve things that cannot even take half a step into the extra-dimensional realm. Certainly, it is also because the Ice Ghost Organization is very cautious and only targets weaker areas, so it is still alive and well. If they dare to cooperate with the Ice Ghost Organization, they naturally need to make a contract with the Ice Ghost Organization, so that the Ice Ghost Organization will not harm them. What they need to do is to arrange an extra-dimensional formation in their territory. This extra-dimensional formation can be connected with the formation of the Ice Ghost Organization. In this way, the Ice Ghost Organization only needs to pay 1/10 of the price to shuttle over. Otherwise, if you forcefully use the extra-dimensional formation to shuttle over, the price you pay will be too high and you won't be able to earn much. The benefit they get from cooperating with the Ice Ghost Organization is that they can leave this territory with the Ice Ghost Organization. After leaving, the two parties do not need to cooperate and go their separate ways. But by doing so, they would be tantamount to betraying other supreme forces. Once exposed, they would be in trouble. Other supreme forces will never let them go unless the Ice Ghost Organization kills all the peak world gods of these supreme forces, but it is obviously impossible. Many peak world gods will definitely escape. Therefore, if they really unite with the Ice Ghost Organization, they must be careful not to be exposed. Do you want to cooperate with the Ice Ghost Organization? The six-whole world god asked. Several other peak world gods pondered for a long time, discussed with each other, and finally came to a decision. Cooperate with the Ice Ghost Organization. They said in unison. There is no way, they are all under the threat of super-dimensional assimilation, and they have swallowed a lot of various pills and other resources that inhibit super-dimensional assimilation, and the effect is not very good. Moreover, the 100 extra-dimensional epochs after the Jalan treasure ship will not come. And they can't persist for 100 extra-dimensional era years, so they must seek new hope. Since you don't choose to follow the ship and purchase employee quotas, there is only one way to cooperate with the Ice Ghost organization. Chapter 3143 Another breakthrough in cultivation. Subsequently, several peak world gods from Xuandong Mountain came to the Death Void, and then activated a mysterious extra-dimensional secret technique. This extra-dimensional secret technique can cross borders and communicate with practitioners in other realms, but it consumes a lot of power and cannot last long. Several peak world gods in Xuandong Mountain did not originally know this extra-dimensional secret technique, but a peak world god from the Ice Ghost organization used a special extra-dimensional secret treasure to move his consciousness across the extra-dimensional territory and find a suitable target to attack. Contact. Teach this kind of super-dimensional secret technique to contact yourself. Of course, those peak world gods can refuse and ignore the Ice Ghost organization. But Xuandongshan had this intention, and then he accepted this super-dimensional secret technique. Now, it comes in handy. Boom. Activated by the super-dimensional secret technique, the consciousness of the six-whole world god accompanied this super-dimensional secret technique, crossing the long territory of the Death Void, and finally came to the border extra-dimensional barrier, and then easily passed through the border extra-dimensional barrier. I don't know how much time passed before the consciousness of the six-whole realm god came to a consciousness realm. Here, he met the top ghosts and gods of the Ice Ghost organization, the Shizi ghosts and gods. The strength of Xia realm god is very close to the half-step super-dimensional realm. In the view of Ludong realm god, its real combat power is estimated to be no weaker than that of the blood shadow puppet. Of course, this is just his guess. However, Xia world god is the top 3 world god in the Ice Ghost organization. At this time, the Ludong realm god saw the Xia realm god and met his consciousness. His consciousness seemed to be trembling. This is where the gap in consciousness lies. I've seen Xia realm god. The god of the 6 cave realm said politely. This is not the first time he has met Xia realm god, but the last time he just had a little chat. This time, it's the real talk. 6 whole world gods, we meet again. It seems that you are ready to cooperate with our Ice Ghost organization. Xia realm god smiled. He expected that the 6 whole world gods would come to him, and even if they didn't come, their Ice Ghost organization would still forcefully invade territory number 7362 and plunder before a wave of super-dimensional storms. This plan has already been decided within the Ice Ghost organization and will not be changed. But if Xuandongshan cooperates with them, the price they pay will be much less, and they can make a lot of money without giving Xuandongshan any benefits. Unfortunately, not all the peak realm gods in all realms are willing to cooperate with them, and will often report them directly. Therefore, there are not many areas where they can really attack. Xia realm god, we at Xuandong Mountain are willing to cooperate, but we need you to take us out of this territory when the time comes. Can we choose a suitable territory? The 6 whole world god asked. Xia Jishen said. 6 whole world gods, if you want to choose a territory at will, that will definitely not work. We cannot enter a territory at will. But we can promise to take you out of several territories covered by the super-dimensional storm. For example, what about territory No. 7120? You have to know that the border hyperdimensional barrier seems to be connected as a whole, but the difficulty of crossing non-adjacent territories will be more than doubled. We can travel from other nearby territories, and at most we can only being able to cross 10 territories is the limit. Therefore, it is not easy for us to send you to territory No. 7120. Understood, we agreed. The 6 cave world gods responded. Immediately, Xia realm god and Ludong realm god made a contract, and both parties made the contract. After that, Xia realm god gave the 6 whole realm god the inheritance of the super-dimensional formation. After returning, he only needed to arrange this extra-dimensional formation and activate it at the specified time. Xia realm god, when will it start? The 6 whole world god asked. It must be before the arrival of the Jalan treasure ship. Otherwise, when the Jalan treasure ship arrives, they will take away a lot of resources, and we will lose money by then. But it is too early to go now. Many peak world gods are still collecting resources, so it will naturally be too late. 1 point. Let's see, the time is set after the 600 billion Zidao era. This period of time is just enough for you to collect materials and arrange the super-dimensional formation. Xia realm god said. Yes. The 6 cave world gods responded. At this time, the 6 whole realm god could no longer hold on any longer, and his consciousness returned to territory No. 7362. Consciousness is back. The six-whole realm God feels that his will is very weak, and the extra-dimensional power of the extra-dimensional things in his body is almost exhausted. It has to be said that communicating across borders consumes so much money just by chatting for a while. If you chat across many borders, you may die in an instant. In the following days, Xuandongshan began to work hard to arrange the extra-dimensional formation of the Ice Ghost organization. 0 Please give me flowers. They all wait for the 600 billion ultimate era years to come and then leave quickly. As for whether other supreme forces will be destroyed, they don't care. The other supreme forces have not discovered the abnormality in Xuandong Mountain. They are still looking for resources and try their best to collect as many extra-dimensional resources as possible before the arrival of the Jalan treasure ship. Time passed, and gradually, more than 300 trillion ultimate era years passed. After such a long time, some peak world gods were born in the human race. Nowadays, the number of the peak world gods of the human race is no less than that of some old supreme forces. Moreover, Yi Tian finally refined the eternal Tao seed to its current limit. 0. In other words, he is qualified to condense the 11th eternal world spirit. He didn't wait much and immediately began to retreat. The human temple, in the void. Yi Tian retreated here, and then took out the red sky blood golden grass. This is not the ordinary red sky blood golden grass, but that extra-dimensional creature. Such extra-dimensional resources are enough for him to break through 100% and condense the 11th eternal world spirit. Let's start. Yi Tian swallowed 1/10 of the red sky blood golden grass in one gulp. Suddenly, terrifying energy poured into the eternal Tao seed, helping him condense the 11th eternal world spirit. This energy is so majestic and extremely suitable for condensing eternal world spirits. Gradually, his 11th eternal world spirit condensed, and there was no problem at all. He forced his 11th eternal world spirit to condense. After some time passed, the 11th eternal world spirit was completely condensed, and his eternal Tao seed was not weak at all. The key is that this energy is so majestic that it is constantly tempering his body, making his body stronger and his physical strength even stronger. I broke through and condensed the 11th eternal world spirit. Now my strength is much stronger. Yi Tian murmured. After that, he only needed to condense the 12th eternal world spirit to almost reach the extreme of normal peak world god cultivation. But to condense the 12th eternal world spirit, at his current rate of progress, it would take at least one extra-dimensional era. Chapter 3144 Fusion of Advanced Extra-Dimensional Things. Ignore the matter of condensing the 12th eternal world spirit for the time being, it will take too long. Yi Tian is now exploring as many places as possible. After all, with the arrival of the super-dimensional storm, many treasure places will be destroyed and those resources will be reduced to ashes. Therefore, he must collect all those resources before the super-dimensional storm. Moreover, with his breakthrough in cultivation, his strength has increased a lot. There happened to be some treasures that he could not set foot in before, but now he can give it a try. Ever since, in the following days, Yi Tian broke into every treasure or dangerous place in the death void to explore and harvest various resources. And his clone body still falls frequently, but the loss is not big, and the gains still far outweigh the losses. More than 1 million era years have passed, and his wife, son, and daughter have all made breakthroughs and condensed the 11th eternal world spirit, and the human race has given birth to some top 587 peak world gods. It can be said that in terms of the number of peak world gods, the human race has surpassed Taihao Ocean Chaos Palace. This terrifying growth rate has frightened many supreme forces. However, the human race has grown up, and Yi Tian's strength has made many supreme forces afraid. Therefore, those supreme forces will not invade the human race at this juncture, otherwise they may suffer heavy losses. After the human race became powerful and was not afraid of other supreme forces, Yi Tian no longer had any scruples and passed on the perfect and eternal Tao seed. Of course, the perfect eternal Tao can only be passed down 9 times. He has already passed it on 4 times, and the remaining 5 must be given to suitable candidates. In addition, he has already placed the inheritance of the perfect eternal world spirit in the human temple, and every human world god can choose the perfect eternal world spirit. Not only that, Yi Tian also tried to create other perfect and eternal Tao seeds. After spending a long time, he finally created several perfect and eternal Tao seeds. In this way, many male gods of perfect and eternal Taoism will be born in the human race in the future. This day, when Yi Tian was exploring a dangerous place in the death void, he discovered a mysterious treasure. It was a fragment of stone, like a fragment of a stone stick. But it is not like a fragment of a super-dimensional secret treasure, but more like a fragment of a super-dimensional thing, because it is filled with the breath of a super-dimensional thing. Near this fragment of extra-dimensional things, there is a group of extra-dimensional creatures. In the past, Yi Tian could not do anything about these extra-dimensional creatures. But now, his cultivation has broken through, his strength has increased, and at a heavy cost, he may have hoped to seize this fragment. As a result, his cloned bodies invaded, using a large number of extra-dimensional secret treasures. After a long period of fighting, I don't know how many clone bodies were sacrificed. In the end, he consumed the group of extra-dimensional creatures and captured this fragment. After obtaining this fragment, he began to study and try to fuse this extra-dimensional object fragment. As a result, as soon as he tried to fuse, his body exploded and died. This extra-dimensional object fragment is not like an ordinary extra-dimensional object. Its ultra-dimensional power and quality have surpassed the medium-sized extra-dimensional object Kunjemu fragment. Could it be fragments of advanced extra-dimensional things? Yi Tian made a guess in his mind. If this is the case, then it would be extremely difficult to integrate it. He now knows a lot about extra-dimensional knowledge. It is extremely difficult for a peak world god to fuse low-level extra-dimensional things, and it is even more difficult to fuse medium-sized extra-dimensional things. Like other peak world gods of supreme power, they simply do not dare to fuse medium and extra-dimensional objects. If the fusion fails once, they will be killed. As for the fusion of advanced extra-dimensional objects, even if they are fragments, the chance is almost zero. Yi Tian is just a peak world god. It is extremely difficult to fuse advanced extra-dimensional things. However, once the fusion is successful, his strength will skyrocket. Fragments of advanced extra-dimensional things are of high value. I didn't expect to be able to receive a fragment of advanced extra-dimensional things. We must try to fuse them. Yi Tian started trying again and again. In the blink of an eye, more than 1 million Dao era years have passed. At this time, the invasion of the Ice Ghost organization is imminent. And Yi Tian finally successfully integrated on this day after such a long period of time. Boom! The power of the high-level extra-dimensional things turned into threads of light that wrapped around it, and its terrifying pressure was far greater than before. I finally successfully integrated the advanced extra-dimensional things. At this time, he also knew the name of this extra-dimensional thing. Real Inscription Stone. This is the name of an advanced extra-dimensional thing. After Yi Tian fused the fragments of the true Inscription Stone, he could also use the power of this high-level extra-dimensional object. The extra-dimensional power of advanced extra-dimensional things is closer to the real extra-dimensional power. However, once you master the true extra-dimensional power, even a trace of extra-dimensional power will be the super-dimensional power that crushes the true Inscription Stone. After all, only by truly controlling the power of extra dimensions can we unleash the power of extra dimensions, and we can also compress the power of extra dimensions infinitely. The intensity of the power of extra dimensions is far beyond the comparison of these extra-dimensional things. The main characteristics of the true Inscription Stone, an extra-dimensional object, are suppression and strength, which is naturally very helpful for attack power. So, he next studied the super-dimensional technique of the true Inscription Stone. This was not difficult for him. It only took him a while to create 2 extra-dimensional objects suitable for combat. Really inscribed light domain, true Ming Aurora. One is a domain-like extra-dimensional technique, and the other is an attack-like extra-dimensional technique. It can be said that his current strength has far exceeded that of the past. Now, my strength has definitely surpassed the 6 heavenly realm gods including Liangyi realm god. Yi Tian said confidently. At the same time, Xuandongshan has already set up a formation and is in contact with the Ice Ghost organization. Let's start. They activated the formation, and the Ice Ghost organization on the other side also activated the formation. Boom! The terrifying fluctuations spread instantly, illuminating many areas. The radiation range of this strong fluctuation is so vast that it even affects the boundary of the realm god. You must know that they are setting up formations in the Death Void, which affects the territory of such a manufacturer. It's not good. Liangyi realm god and the others have definitely discovered it. Ludong realm god and the others' expressions changed. At this time, the formation was no longer under their control. It was already controlled by the Ice Ghost organization from the other end. They couldn't stop it just because they wanted to. Boom! Peak world gods such as Liangyi world god used super-dimensional secret treasures to spy on this place. Soon, they discovered the 6 Chai world gods and their formation. Ludong realm god, Xuanlong realm god, what are you doing? The 2 gods of the world are questioning. However, due to the long distance, they could not get here immediately and could only project and question. The gods of the world of Liangyi and the others took a deep breath, and if they were exposed now, they would be exposed. I just have to wait for the Ice Ghost Organization and the others to arrive, and they will work together with the Ice Ghost Organization to take away as many world gods as they can from Xuandong Mountain. As for the other world gods, then they can only be sacrificed. Chapter 3145 The Ice Ghost Organization is finally here. Exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. The sound of the void cracking suddenly came from the light curtain of this extra-dimensional formation. This was the peak world god tearing apart the extra-dimensional barrier. Soon, an arm stretched out, extremely dark and covered with strange scales. Immediately afterwards, a figure walked out. It looked extremely ugly and weird, but its aura was extremely powerful. He is clearly a peak world god of the Ice Ghost Organization. Immediately after this peak world god came, another peak world god came. Afterwards, one after another peak world gods came over. Not long after, more than 60 peak world gods arrived, and each peak world god was extremely powerful. Wow, one of the peak world gods sacrificed a treasure ship. This treasure ship turned out to be a high-level super-dimensional secret treasure. Its strong aura blocked the power emperor of the Death Void. The peak world gods of Xuandong Mountain, from now on, you are under my control. A peak world god said. He is the leader in charge of this operation of the Ice Ghost Organization, the Pinnacle World God, the Blood World God. As for the Xia Realm God of the Ice Ghost Organization, he will naturally not come over. Xia Realm God 05 is responsible for liaison with various territories. If he leaves, the Ice Ghost Organization will not be able to contact various territories, and it will become a mess. I've seen the Blood Realm God. The 6 Cave Realm Gods and others said respectfully, not daring to be disrespectful at all, otherwise they would offend the Ice Ghost Organization and they would not get any good results. 6 Whole World God, please lead the way. After all, we are not familiar with this place. The Blood Realm God ordered. Any territory is very dangerous. Even the Ice Ghost Organization does not dare to invade. Otherwise, they may be wiped out if they enter a dangerous forbidden area. Therefore, it would be much safer if the world god of Xuandong Mountain leads the way. The 6 Whole Realm God was very annoyed at this time. This extra-dimensional formation made so much noise, but the Ice Ghost Organization didn't say anything about it. I thought there would be no movement. When the Ice Ghost Organization came over, they would just retreat secretly. But they never expected that they would be directly exposed now. Now, the other supreme forces all knew that Xuandong Mountain had taken refuge with forces from other territories, and they were all extremely angry. It was meaningless to question them at this time. Either flee or fight. For the first time, the world gods at the peak of the supreme power projected themselves to meet. And Yi Tian also participated. At the meeting, Liangyi Realm God quickly said, "Everyone, we are in trouble." Xuandong Mountain contacted a force from other territories and used a certain formation to break the extra-dimensional barrier and let the peak world gods from other forces come in. I guess there are dozens of peak world gods, each of whom is extremely powerful, but now we can't spy on them. It is obvious that there is a more powerful super-dimensional secret treasure that has evaded our prying eyes. Tai Jia Shen said. They are still some distance away from the boundary of Jia Shen Kingdom, but it won't be long before they get here. By then, we will be in trouble. All the world gods were extremely panicked, and there was no hope of calling for help at this time. Even if there is someone from the 2 world gates who can go out to the extra-dimensional realm, not to mention the person who cannot return to territory number 7362, even if he can come back, it will not be in time. Maybe if we join forces, we can still hope to defeat those foreign peak world gods. Said a peak world god. The gods of the world of Liangyi smiled bitterly and said, they are forces that can cross the extra-dimensional barrier, but we can't do it, not even half-step to the extra-dimensional realm, even if they don't have half-step to the extra-dimensional realm. A strong man, but as long as we send a strong man comparable to the Blood Shadow Puppet, it will be enough to kill us. And now I have no hope that the Blood Shadow Puppet will come back. Then escape into the void of death, and hide. The void of death is so big and so dangerous. Even that mysterious foreign force would not dare to search in the void of death with great fanfare, unless they want to seek death. Escape is indeed a hope, but it must be as soon as possible, otherwise once they arrive, there will be no hope of escape. Then run away. A peak world god said helplessly. Escape means completely giving up on other world gods. After all, non-peak world gods can't live long in the death void. Even if they did, they wouldn't be able to bring many high-level world gods, let alone those weak creatures. The key is, there is no time, you must leave as soon as possible, there is no time to summon other world gods. At this time, some of the supreme forces have already begun to escape, quickly escaping from the realm of the seam into the void of death, then gathering their aura and leaving along a safe route. There are still supreme forces lingering, and soon the Ice Ghost organization arrives. Boom! The barrier of the realm of gods was torn apart. The treasure ship of the Ice Ghost organization directly arrived at the boundary of the realm of the gods. What? They're here, how come they're so fast? It's that treasure ship. Its speed is definitely beyond our imagination. It's over. There's no way to escape. Boom! An orb was sacrificed, and the light enveloped the realm of gods, the eternal realm, and even the realms of many realms, all affected by this bead, sealing this place. At this moment, these peak world gods were unable to escape and were all blocked. Under the ultra-dimensional world sealing bead, unless you can easily break through it with half a step into the ultra-dimensional realm, it will take a long time to hope to break through. The Blood Realm God said. This is his treasure to conquer some weak territories, and it can intercept many peak world gods who want to escape every time. 610. As for some of the peak world gods who escaped, if they can't be hunted down later, forget it. If these peak world gods escape in time, they won't be able to take away many resources. They don't care about the lives of these peak world gods, they only care about resources. Just get the resources and don't care about anything else. Could it be possible that the pinnacle world god in the small territory of number 7362 can still threaten their Ice Ghost organization? Even the existence of a half-step extra-dimensional realm cannot find their Ice Siege organization. Moreover, their Ice Ghost organization also has a backer, so they are not afraid. Immediately, the Blood Realm God spoke, and his voice spread throughout the Eternal Realm, the Realm God Realm, and the Realm of the Seam. I am the World God of Blood, the pinnacle of the Ice Ghost organization. From now on, I will start looting. All the supreme forces must hand over their extra-dimensional resources, otherwise they will be killed without mercy. 1 second, 2 seconds, time passed slowly, and there was no movement from those supreme forces. Seeing this, the Blood World God became angry and ordered his men to attack these supreme forces, and he would do it himself. Prior to this, Xuandong Mountain had sold the information of the supreme power. Therefore, the Blood Realm God has some understanding of the supreme power here. The first supreme force to rob should choose Taihao Tianchao Palace. The Blood Realm God secretly said. Chapter 3146 The Destruction of Taihao Tianchao Palace. Taihao Tianchao Palace is now weak and the easiest to break through. The Ice Ghost organization has always been extremely cautious. Even if its strength is far superior to these supreme forces, it does not want to attack the headquarters of all the supreme forces at the same time. It still wants to come one by one. In this case, the probability of accidents is very low. If all the supreme forces are to be dealt with at the same time, they must be separated. Even if a peak world god is to deal with an entire supreme force, accidents may easily occur, and he may even be killed. Dealing with a weak territory, the Ice Ghost organization does not want to lose any member of the organization. Once one member is lost, the operation will not be worth it. Yes, all the peak world gods responded one after another. Taihao Tianchao Palace. Because the peak world god of Taihao Tianchao Palace hesitated and did not escape immediately, as a result, he could not get out now. The passage leading to the death void was useless, and he could no longer enter the death void. That's being blocked unless they can break the blockade. At this moment, the peak world gods of Taihao Tianchao Palace are desperately attacking the barrier arranged by the super-dimensional world sealing beads. However, their strength is still too weak and they cannot break the barrier at all. Suddenly, boom, the boundary between the seams where Taihao Tianchao Palace is located was torn open by the Ice Ghost organization. A group of peak world gods from the Ice Ghost organization broke into this place. This scene made Taihao Tianchao Palace extremely despairing. They did not attack the Ice Ghost organization because they knew that attacking would mean seeking death. Then, these peak world gods begged for mercy one by one. The Blood Realm God of the Ice Ghost organization said, "We are here to rob. Take out all the extra-dimensional resources. Remember, don't leave any resources behind." Good. The peak realm gods of Taihao Tianchao Palace responded one after another. Immediately, they took out a large amount of extra-dimensional resources, and also took out extra-dimensional resources from the treasure house. Is this all? The Blood Realm God asked with some disappointment. That's all, the Peak Realm gods of Taihao Tianqiao Palace responded one after another. But at this moment, the Blood Realm God took out a special super-dimensional secret treasure. The super-dimensional secret treasure released a cyan light. This cyan light penetrated the world of the seam, whether it was the treasure house or there the inside of the body has been penetrated. The Blood Realm God sensed it and became furious. How dare you hide so many extra-dimensional resources and only take out less than half of them? You are seeking death. The words of the Blood Realm God made the expressions of these Peak Realm gods change drastically. They also did not expect that the Blood Realm God actually had an extra-dimensional secret treasure that could spy on extra-dimensional resources. No one is willing to hand over all the resources, not even the Peak World gods of Taihao Tianqiao Palace, and some Peak World gods are still affected by extra-dimensional assimilation. If there are no resources and the super-dimensional storm comes, they don't have the resources to practice. If they still can't hold on in the future, they will still end up dead. Therefore, they took the risk to hide some resources. The results have now been discovered. We're willing to give it all. These Peak World gods said. Late, the Blood World God waved his hand, and the top world gods of the Ice Ghost organization took action. Boom, the aura of each one is extremely terrifying, no less than that of the 6 supreme world gods. In the blink of an eye, the Peak World gods of Taihao Tianqiao Palace were killed. In a short time, all the Peak World gods in Taihao Tianqiao Palace were wiped out. Destroy this place too, the Ice Ghost organization ordered. Endless light covered the entire world of this seam. Countless world gods, eternal realms, and weaker creatures were all covered by the light and fell without any resistance. The endless sounds of despair were gradually annihilated by the light. Soon, there was no trace of any living beings in this world of seams. For the Ice Ghost organization, they have done this kind of thing countless times. Take all the extra-dimensional resources away. As for the ordinary resources, don't worry about them. They look down on ordinary resources because after all, they cannot improve their own strength. Although a large amount of ordinary resources can be traded, they can also obtain a lot of extra-dimensional resources by slowly accumulating them. Unfortunately, their Ice Ghost organization rarely does transactions. They are robbing dark forces. If they do too many transactions, the possibility of being targeted is too high. Therefore, they took away these ordinary resources and had no place to use them. Soon, the members of the Ice Ghost organization plundered too many extra-dimensional resources from Taihao Tianqiao Palace, and then started to attack the next Supreme Force. Soon after, the next Supreme Force was destroyed. After all, the possibility of actually taking out all the super-dimensional resources is too low. Everyone will hide some, thinking that they will not be discovered. 2 gates. At this time, Liangyi Realm God looked extremely solemn. He and other Peak Realm gods were attacking the barrier formed by the ultra-dimensional world sealing beads, but they could not break it. Subsequently, some of the pinnacle world gods and projection planes of supreme power. Everyone, what should we do? The mysterious foreign force is destroying the supreme forces one by one. This time is different from the incarnation of the will of the Devil's Abyss. The incarnation of the will of the Devil's Abyss cannot persist for too long, but this mysterious force can keep invading. Moreover, they have many super-dimensional secret treasures, and they also have super-dimensional secret treasures that can break through super-dimensional formations. We cannot use super-dimensional formations to resist these mysterious foreign powerhouses. Ayagi Shinto, sitting and waiting for death is not the best option. If the other party comes one by one, then we will all die. For now, we can only join forces to fight to the death, or join forces to break the barrier and rush out. There is no other way. Quote, everyone, come to my 2 realm gates and try to break the barrier from the 2 realm gates. If you can't break it, then fight them desperately. Qian Zhao. The other Peak World gods listened to the words of the Liangyi Realm God and were extremely embarrassed. It was not that they disagreed with this method, but that if they did so, they would inevitably abandon their own forces, and at most they could use people close to them. But soon, they all agreed. After all, there was no time and there was no extra time to think about it. Subsequently, some Peak World gods took their relatives and some seed geniuses out of the realm of the seam and threw them all over the eternal realm. There might be some hope of surviving. However, from beginning to end, Yi Tian was not too panicked. He did not immediately deal with the Ice Ghost organization. After all, he did not understand the strength of the Ice Ghost organization. If he acted rashly, if all his cloned bodies were defeated, he might not have time to clone the body. The Ice Ghost organization would definitely enter the world of endless seams for the first time. So, he only has one chance. Chapter 3147 Attack on the Ice Ghost Organization. When the Ice Ghost Organization was dealing with Taihao Ocean Chaos Palace and other supreme forces, Yi Tian had been using the Immaculate Eyes, a super-dimensional secret treasure, to spy on them. Yi Tian is not the only one who can spy on the top world gods of the Ice Ghost Organization. Even if they are discovered, it won't be a big deal. Soon, Yi Tian roughly judged the strength of these peak world gods of the Ice Ghost Organization. These peak world gods have not yet fully exploded in strength, but their general strength is almost the same. The weakest of these peak world gods is probably not much weaker than the two gods. And there are more than 60 of them. If I hadn't merged with the advanced extra-dimensional things, I would be far from their opponent. Quote. Yi Tian secretly said. Now, he has hope to deal with these peak world gods, but he cannot deal with these peak world gods at the same time, otherwise he will be easily surrounded and killed. It's time to cooperate with the Liangyi realm gods and the others. The 6 supreme realm gods including the Liangyi realm gods can at least deal with the 6 peak realm gods. If the other peak realm gods join forces, it is estimated that they can also deal with a dozen peak realm gods. In this way it can relieve some pressure for me. And if I launch a surprise attack, I might be able to kill a few peak world gods. After making the plan, he went to find the 2 gods of the world. 2 Realm Gate Headquarters. 473. At this time, a large number of peak world gods gathered here and were attacking the barrier. However, the barrier is too strong. Even if there are many of them, they still cannot break the barrier formed by the super-dimensional boundary sealing beads in a short time. Suddenly, Yi Tian came here, and 8 cloned bodies appeared together. These are all the cloned bodies he can dispatch at present. After all, he still has to leave 1 cloned body in the realm of the Endless Seam, and 1 cloned body in the Death Void. It is impossible for him to remove the cloned body in the Death Void. And his total number of cloned bodies is 10. Yi Tian Realm God, just in time, let's break the barrier together. The 2 gods of the world shouted. 8 Yi Tian, such a number of clones may surprise them, but they don't think so much at the moment, they still run for their lives. However, Yi Tian shook his head and said, everyone, this barrier cannot be broken in a short time. You should know very well that the only way is to fight with the peak world gods of external forces. Maybe there is still hope. The Liangyi realm god said helplessly, we also know that this is the only way, but until the last moment, we are still unwilling to give up and escape. I have seen their strength, and the weakest peak realm god is probably also not much weaker than me. I can deal with them. Yi Tian said, what, you can deal with them? The 2 gods were shocked. At this time, one of Yi Tian's cloned bodies burst out with terrifying extra-dimensional power, which shocked the gods of both worlds. Yi Tian Realm God, could it be that you have controlled the real extra-dimensional power? Liang Yi Realm God and other peak realm gods asked hurriedly. That's not true. Yi Tian shook his head, however, I have integrated advanced extra-dimensional things. I'm afraid this is still not enough. Your cultivation level is still a little low. The gods of the 2 ritual realms lost their ways again. What if we add these? Densely dense super-dimensional secret treasures appeared on Yi Tian's body, and each duplicate body carried a large number of super-dimensional secret treasures, the number of which far exceeded the previous ones. Moreover, although the other cloned bodies did not fuse other high-level extra-dimensional things, they did fuse 2 medium-sized extra-dimensional things, and their combat power was a little stronger than that of the gods of the 2 worlds. We all join forces, and I will deal with the powerful peak world gods. If I work hard, there is still hope of defeating them. Yi Tian said. Seeing this, Liangyi Sishan, Yinji gods ignited a glimmer of hope in their hearts. So, they all agreed. The other peak world gods have to agree even if they don't agree. Of course, the human race also sends a group of peak world gods to take action, which can be regarded as an increase in combat power. These ordinary peak world gods are far from the opponents of the peak world gods of the Ice Ghost organization. If they fight forcefully, they will definitely be killed instantly. AFBC Therefore, a large number of ordinary peak world gods use the power of formations to participate in the battle, which can be regarded as contributing part of the combat power. These natives have all gone to the same place. When the Blood Realm God saw that all the peak realm gods had gone to the 2 realm gates, he no longer targeted them one by one, and directly brought more than 60 peak realm gods to the realm of the seam where the 2 realm gates were located. They planned to destroy the 2 realm gates directly so that they would not have to deal with them slowly. Although there will be some dangers and 1 or 2 peak world gods may be injured, as long as he takes action personally, it is unlikely that the peak world gods of the Ice Ghost organization will fall. The peak world gods of Xuandong Mountain followed the Ice Ghost organization and felt very nervous. If it weren't for the constraints of the contract, they felt that they would definitely be dead. Soon, they came to the 2 realms gate. Boom! A temporary extra-dimensional formation was activated. This was an attack by the Supreme Forces against the Ice Ghost organization. Too weak, the Blood Realm God sneered, and then waved his hand, shattering the extra-dimensional formation. And just then, Yi Tian used the super-dimensional world wood to kill one of the peak world gods of the Ice Ghost organization, and other cloned bodies also came out one after another. True Inscription Light Realm, Zhenming Aurora. The coverage area of the True Inscription Light domain is very large, and all the peak world gods of the Ice Ghost organization are covered. The extra-dimensional power of advanced extra-dimensional things. The Blood World gods were slightly shocked. If the peak world god wants to fuse high-level extra-dimensional things, it is too difficult. Basically, only half-step into the extra-dimensional realm can fuse high-level extra-dimensional things. For the half-step super-dimensional realm, advanced super-dimensional things are a bit useless. They can only store some super-dimensional power and play a little role at critical moments. Therefore, extra-dimensional things are only suitable for peak world gods. It is not impossible for a peak world god to fuse high-level extra-dimensional things. It requires the personal assistance of a great being in the extra-dimensional realm, and only by using supreme superdimensional treasures can there be any hope of forcibly integrating a peak world god. Integrating advanced extra-dimensional things. The Blood World God cannot imagine how such a weak territory could give birth to a peak world god who integrates high-level extra-dimensional things. Fortunately, this world god's cultivation level is lower, otherwise I would definitely be killed by him instantly. The Blood Realm God secretly said. And at the moment when he was shocked, a peak world god under his command was directly penetrated and killed by Yi Tian using the True Inscription Aurora. A member of the Ice Ghost organization died. The Blood World God reacted quickly, and other peak world gods also responded quickly and attacked Yi Tian one after another. At this time, Yi Tian activated the dense Star Wing 6-arm shield to resist their attacks, while he continued to use the True Inscription Aurora to try to kill another peak world god. At the same time, Liangyi World God and the others also started to assist Yi Tian and relieve Yi Tian from some pressure. Chapter 3148 Kill. Rumble. Dense attacks fell on Yi Tian, but they were all resisted by layer after layer of Star Wing's 6-armed shields, but the outermost layer of Star Wing's 6-armed shields was completely shattered. After all, the attacks of so many peak world gods are from very top peak world gods. It would be good if he could resist them. Naturally, he could not protect those Star Wing 6-armed shields. He also knew very well that this battle would be extremely difficult, and he would have many super-dimensional secret treasures destroyed, and the losses would be extremely heavy. But as long as the Ice Ghost organization can be defeated, that's fine. Otherwise, once he fails, he will not perish, but the human race will suffer. Ever since, each copy of Yi Tian's body begins to burn eternal Tao seeds, and even burns the origin of extra-dimensional things. Doing so will cause serious losses to extra-dimensional things, and it will be difficult to exert the power of extra-dimensional things in the future. This is a real life-threatening play, but when you are in a weak position, you can only choose this way. Boom! Yi Tian's most powerful clone body went towards the Blood Realm God, because once the Blood Realm God was allowed to deal with his other cloned bodies, or the Liangyi Realm God and the others, the Liangyi Realm God and the others would definitely die. After integrating advanced extra-dimensional things, Yi Tian's strength surpassed that of the Blood World God. No, after the Blood World God fought with Yi Tian's strongest replica body, his expression changed and his whole body was beaten to cracks, but he managed to resist with the help of the super-dimensional secret treasure. Later, other peak world gods of the Ice Ghost organization came to assist the Blood Realm God, and together they besieged Yi Tian's duplicate body. As time passed, the world gods at the pinnacle of the supreme power gradually began to suffer losses. Moreover, the 2 gods of the garden also began to get injured. However, with Yi Tian's desperate efforts to continuously inflict heavy losses and even kill the top world gods of the Ice Ghost organization, the Ice Ghost organization was under great pressure and it was difficult to win. A copy of Yi Tian's body was about to fall. Before the death of the copy, he burned everything and dragged 2 of the top world gods of the Ice Ghost organization to fall with him. The boundary between boundaries. Yi Tian's replica body stationed here learned that one of his replica bodies had died, and immediately began to condense the replica body. Not long after, the replica body condensed, and then he took out pieces of super-dimensional secret treasures and kunji wood fragments, and integrated them into the replica body, making the replica body powerful enough to fight. Go! The replica body went to support. But not long after, another copy of Yi Tian's body fell, and he gathered the copy again to support him. Of course, his super-dimensional secret treasures are not endless, so his combat effectiveness will continue to decrease. However, the peak world gods of the Ice Ghost organization are also constantly suffering heavy losses, and their combat effectiveness continues to decline. Therefore, Yi Tian's side gradually gained the advantage. Soon, the Blood Realm god was a little panicked. Damn it, how could this weak and small territory give birth to such a heaven-defying pinnacle world god? There are so many clones, and the cost of refining clones is definitely not high. How many clones does he have? The Blood Realm god hated Yi Tian to death. If it weren't for Yi Tian, he could easily sweep through the supreme forces in this territory. At the same time, he was extremely resentful towards Xuandong Mountain. Yi Tian was such a monster, but Xuandong Mountain did not give any specific information. In fact, Xuandong Mountain cannot be blamed for this. After all, before this, Yi Tian's combat effectiveness was not as good as Liangyi realm gods and the others. Even though he had multiple clones, he was still like an ant in front of the Ice Ghost organization. Therefore, Xuandongshan didn't care about Yi Tian at all. But now, Yi Tian's strength has skyrocketed, and he has also integrated advanced extra-dimensional things. Who could have expected this? Seeing that more and more peak world gods of the Ice Ghost organization have fallen, this time the losses must be heavy and it is impossible to recover the losses. But if the battle continues, it is very likely that the entire army will be annihilated. Retreat. Once we retreat to the headquarters, we will send more peak world gods over. The Blood Realm god secretly decided. As for sending the peak world god here now, that is obviously impossible. After all, every action requires a lot of planning, and every member is mobilized with a plan. If the peak world god is sent over temporarily, it is very likely to be organized by the Ice Ghost. The enemy found out and followed the clues to find their headquarters. Therefore, the only option is to retreat. Exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. The super-dimensional world sealing bead was collected by the Blood Realm god. Immediately, the Blood Realm god quickly retreated with the remaining peak world gods, and Yi Tian could not stop it. He can hurt the Blood World god, but it is difficult to kill the Blood World god. 0 Please give me flowers. Moreover, there is no point in continuing to hunt and kill a few more peak world gods. Soon, the peak world gods of the Ice Ghost organization retreated back to the Death Void, and then quickly retreated on treasure ships. At this time, they couldn't catch up. Then, they left through the ultra-dimensional formation. And Yi Tian and the others went to the extra-dimensional formation arranged in Xuandong Mountain, preparing to destroy the formation, otherwise the peak world gods of the Ice Ghost organization would come again. Of course, it will take some time for them to get there. After a while, they arrived there and then tried their best to destroy the super-dimensional formation. Soon after, this extra-dimensional formation was destroyed. At this time, they breathed a sigh of relief. At least, in a short period of time, they were safe. 0. The Realm of the Gods. Xuandong Mountain Headquarters. At this time, the peak world gods of Xuandong Mountain, as well as the high-level world gods, intermediate world gods, elementary world gods, and a large number of ordinary world gods, were all captured by other supreme forces. 6 Whole Realm God, why did you betray us? The god of the world of 2 rituals asked. The 6 Whole World God said helplessly, we have no choice. The super-dimensional storm is coming. We have integrated super-dimensional things for many super-dimensional eras. At most, we can last for 10 super-dimensional eras. If we don't have resources, there is no way to suppress extra-dimensional assimilation. And the quota for following the Galan treasure ship is a scam. Maybe sending us to a weaker super-dimensional era still won't solve the problem. There are only employee quotas, which is even worse. Maybe one day we will be regarded as there are not many employees who can actually do well as cannon fodder. And when we cooperate with the Ice Ghost organization, we also want to enter a more powerful territory. The Liangyi realm god did not speak, and he also knew that what the Ludong realm god said was also true. The quota of ships and employees of the Jalan treasure ship is not necessarily a good thing for the average peak world god. It can only be said to be a hope, but some peak world gods would rather take risks. Get a hope. No matter what, you still betrayed us, so you must die. Ayagi Shinto. Immediately, he looked at Yi Tian. Yi Tian is now the most powerful being among the supreme forces, and the real say depends on Yi Tian. Yi Tian looked at the 6 cave realm gods and the others, shook his hands firmly and said, "Kill." Chapter 3149 Xuandong Mountain is removed. The 2 words Yi Tian announced the end of the supreme power of Xuandong Mountain. The supreme power is an existence that even the top powers cannot imagine. They are transcendent and supreme. They have left places like the eternal realm and the realm of gods and set foot in the void of death. They control the fate of a large number of top forces and powerful forces. They are unimaginably strong. Just sending one strong person at will is enough to sweep everything. But at this time, such a powerful supreme force is like an ant, unable to control its own life. Exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. The gods of the Liangyi realm and the others took action one after another. No matter how they resisted, the gods of the 6 cave realm and the others were killed one by one. Not only were these peak world gods killed, but the higher-ups were also killed. Only the irrelevant lower-level people survived and were divided up by the supreme forces one by one. These lower-level people chose to join these supreme forces. If 990 does not join, it will also be wiped out. Moreover, these peak world gods can easily deduce whether these low-level people are resentful. Once they are resentful, they will be wiped out. Soon after, Xuandong Mountain was completely removed from the list. These top world gods of the Ice Ghost organization really have a lot of good things. Yi Tian said happily. As the biggest contributor to the fight against the Ice Ghost organization this time, he naturally gained the most benefits, even more than his losses. Not to mention the extra-dimensional secret treasures obtained from the Ice Ghost organization, as well as some extra-dimensional resources. It is estimated that even the peak world gods of the Ice Ghost organization did not expect that they would perish here. Therefore, they all carry a lot of extra-dimensional resources with them. In addition, they even have some inheritance. For Yi Tian, these inheritances are the most precious. You can also buy many inheritances on the Jilanbao ship, but the price is too expensive. Even if I am rich, I will not be willing to buy it. But now, he has gained a lot of inheritance. For example, he obtained the inheritance of 3 super-dimensional Dao seeds, but unfortunately it was just the inheritance of ordinary super-dimensional Dao seeds. In addition to these super-dimensional Dao inheritances, there is also a lot of information about practice and so on. Moreover, there is also information about many territories. From this information, he finally knew why the Ice Ghost organization was able to cross the border and the extra-dimensional barrier and enter their territory number 7362. Breaking Realm Star Formation. This is a very rare extra-dimensional formation, but if it is activated, it will cost a lot, but it can deploy a small boundary-breaking star formation in other construction areas. In this way, you can pay 1/10 of the price for activating the realm-breaking star formation. At this time, Yi Tian finally knew what the formation arranged by Xuandong Mountain was. If the realm-breaking star array is activated once, if you want to activate it a second time, it is impossible to do it in a short time. At least there will be an extra-dimensional epoch, or you will have to pay a greater price. Obviously, the Ice Ghost organization is absolutely unwilling to pay that price. So, that is to say, the Ice Ghost organization will never be able to invade here within an extra-dimensional era. After an extra-dimensional era, the extra-dimensional storm has already begun. At that time, the Ice Ghost organization could not come in unless they were willing to seek death. The super-dimensional storm will last for a long time, at least 1 or 2 super-dimensional epochs. Under some special circumstances, it is not impossible to last for 10 super-dimensional epochs. The key is that even after 2 extra-dimensional epochs, the extra-dimensional storm dissipated, but the extra-dimensional void at that time was still unstable. The boundary-breaking star array also penetrates the boundary extra-dimensional barrier through the ultra-dimensional void. If the ultra-dimensional void is unstable, the Ice Ghost organization will not dare to come in. So, at the very least, within a dozen extra-dimensional eras, the Ice Ghost organization would never dare to invade here. A dozen extra-dimensional eras, by then, my strength might be enough to disdain the Ice Ghost organization. Yi Tian murmured. He has this confidence entirely because he knows the strength of the Ice Ghost organization, which has not even reached the half-step of the super-dimensional realm. The strongest person is probably slightly more powerful than the shadow puppet. Therefore, he does not need to worry about the Ice Ghost organization at all. In addition, Yi Tian also got a piece of information from these extra-dimensional information. That is the super-dimensional storm. It is not entirely a crisis, but also has a slight chance. When a super-dimensional storm blows, it is very likely that a kind of super-dimensional creature, super-dimensional elves, will appear. Super-dimensional elves are extremely rare. They control real super-dimensional power. The strength of each one is at least comparable to a half-step super-dimensional realm. The best among them may even be comparable to a real super-dimensional realm. Any extra-dimensional elves are extremely precious. They contain special extra-dimensional patterns. Understanding the extra-dimensional patterns or studying the extra-dimensional power in them will help you understand the true extra-dimensional power. So, when the super-dimensional storm blows, there may be a super-dimensional realm to capture the super-dimensional elves. Certainly, the existence of the super-dimensional realm will not capture the super-dimensional elves in territory No. 7362. Instead, they will follow the super-dimensional storm and head towards the source to capture the super-dimensional elves. That area was a place that Yi Tian was not qualified to enter. However, there is a slight possibility that the super-dimensional elves will enter territory No. 7362. It depends on luck. If I are lucky enough to encounter an extra-dimensional elf, although I am not a match, if I fight with it, even if I am killed by it, I will still be able to get a glimpse of the mystery of the real extra-dimensional power. This will be very helpful for me to understand the power of extra-dimensional forces. Help. Yi Tian thought to himself. His understanding is not bad, and he also replicates his body for trial and error. The reason why he has never been able to comprehend the true extra-dimensional power is that he has never seen the true extra-dimensional power and has no direction at all. Therefore, this extra-dimensional storm may also be his opportunity. The other side, the peak world gods of the Ice Ghost organization were extremely angry, especially the Xia world god who was in charge of this plan. They were not allowed to immediately enter the territory of 21st century number 362. But now we can't do this. Forcibly opening the realm-breaking star formation, even if the Ice Ghost organization can bear the price of 4.0, it is far from worth it. Then wait for another dozen extra-dimensional eras. Xia realm god said coldly. There are only a dozen extra-dimensional eras, and for a peak world god, there is no improvement in strength at all. By the way, keep an eye on the Galan treasure ship No. 6. If a peak world god from the No. 7362 territory disembarks from above, we will try our best to kill him. Xia realm god ordered. Of course, it is not easy to keep an eye on the No. 6 Galan treasure ship. No one knows the route of the No. 6 Galan treasure ship. All we can say is to do our best. Before I knew it, another long period of time had passed. At this time, there is not much time left before the Jalan treasure ship comes to territory number 7362 again. Chapter 3150 Purchase the inheritance of super-dimensional Taoism. Yi Tian's cultivation level has not improved much, and he is still at the 11th level of Eternal World Spirit. However, he finally repaired the damaged super-dimensional secret treasures in the past and made up for the loss in quantity. And he has a higher degree of control over advanced extra-dimensional objects, and has created some extra-dimensional techniques such as the True Inscription Stone, a higher-order extra-dimensional object, which can be regarded as slightly improving his combat effectiveness. For example, the True Inscription Light Escape technique is one of the extra-dimensional techniques he created. It can make oneself much faster and is much more powerful than the extra-dimensional techniques corresponding to other extra-dimensional objects. In addition, he also allowed the human race to give birth to more peak world gods. But even so, the strength of the human race is still not worth mentioning compared with forces like the Ice Ghost organization, and the Ice Ghost organization is actually not very powerful. After all, there is not even a half-step super-dimensional realm, and they only dare to hide. Just plundering some weaker territories in secret. Yi Tian did not continue to practice hard. After all, it was impossible for him to improve his cultivation level in a short period of time, nor could he fully comprehend the true extra-dimensional power. Therefore, he relaxed, quietly waited for the arrival of the Jalan treasure ship, and studied the power of extra dimensions. In this way, the years passed. This day, the Galan treasure ship broke through the extra-dimensional barrier at the boundary of territory number 7362 and entered territory No. 7362. Boom! The Jalan treasure ship shuttled through and stopped in the area near the eternal border. Then, a group of peak world gods immediately went to the Jalan treasure ship. This time, almost all the peak world gods have passed, and Yi Tian also brought a group of peak world gods from the human race there. Although they may not necessarily trade, they still have to see the world. On the Jalanbao boat, Yi Tian saw a large number of peak world gods, and their number far exceeded those in the past. I have never seen so many peak world gods. These peak world gods are definitely not in our territory, and they are definitely not the peak world gods of Jalan treasure ship. The peak world gods of Jalan treasure ship all wear the clothes of Jalan treasure ship. But they were not wearing any. They should be the pinnacle world gods from other realms who purchased the Jalan treasure ship in its quota. Yi Tian guessed. Jalan treasure ship mentioned before that the super-dimensional storm not only affected their territory number 7362, but also affected several territories. The peak world gods of these territories naturally wanted to leave their territories. The Jalan treasure ship may have gone to other territories first and sold a lot of places to follow the ship, which resulted in a large number of peak world gods here. It seems that the Jalan treasure ship will indeed sell a lot of places to follow the ship, and I'm not lying. Yi Tian thought to himself. At this time, the Jalan treasure ship was very busy, and there was still some time before the auction of the Jalan treasure ship's ship and employee quotas. A peak world god is trading in various stalls and shops on the Jalanbao ship, and occasionally chats with peak world gods from other realms. Soon, Yi Tian also knows which realms these peak world gods come from. Territory No. 7360, Territory number 7361, and Territory No. 7364. These territories are connected to each other. The Jalan treasure ship went to these three territories first, and then to Territory No. 7362. The peak world gods in these realms can also trade with each other, and the Jalan treasure ship does not care. However, these peak world gods have almost exhausted their net worth in order to buy the quota for boating. Although there are still rich peak world gods, they will not trade casually. Yi Tian didn't trade with the peak world gods in these realms, and they probably didn't have anything good. He walked around the Jalan treasure ship to see if the Jalan treasure ship had come up with anything good. Looking at it, he found that the Jalan treasure ship had brought out a lot of good things this time, and even high-level super-dimensional secret treasures were sold, but the prices were very expensive, with the lowest price costing 500,000 Jalan treasure coins. Yi Tianxian exchanged the resources into Jalan treasure coins, and easily exchanged them for 3 million Jalan treasure coins. Of course, he can exchange more Jalanbao coins, but if he doesn't encounter suitable good things, he won't exchange too many. Otherwise, the Jalan treasure ship has left, and his Jalan treasure coins will be useless, and he will have to wait hundreds of extra-dimensional epochs before the Jalan treasure ship arrives. Then he can wait. Jalan Dao killing spear. Yi Tian focused on this high-level super-dimensional secret treasure, which was worth 800,000 Jalan treasure coins. Yi Tian thought carefully and bought this super-dimensional secret treasure. After all, the Jalan Dao killing spear can increase his strength relatively well. If purchased, his strength will increase a lot. Subsequently, he paid 800,000 Jalan treasure coins and obtained this high-level super-dimensional secret treasure. Then, he began to select super-dimensional Dao seeds for inheritance. Jiayi Superdimensional Taoist Seed. This is a top-notch super-dimensional Taoist inheritance, worth 660,000 Jalan treasure coins. Yi Tian thought about it and bought it. After all, he would not be able to obtain the inheritance of the super-dimensional Tao in the next 100 super-dimensional epochs. What if he realized the true power of the super-dimensional later and needed the super-dimensional Tao? Kind of inheritance. If not, wouldn't it be difficult for him to break through to the half-step superdimensional realm? So, buy it first. Then, he spent 660,000 Jalan treasure coins to purchase this Jiashi 577 super-dimensional Tao seed inheritance. Then accept the inheritance. Yi Tian immediately accepted the inheritance. After a long time, the inheritance was completed. But he frowned because he couldn't understand the inheritance. It was just because the inheritance was composed of super-dimensional power and was a super-dimensional text. If he didn't understand the real super-dimensional power, he couldn't understand it at all. The inheritance of super-dimensional Taoism. Of course, if he comprehends the true power of extra-dimensionality, he will naturally be able to understand the inheritance of this extra-dimensional Taoism at a glance. It seems that before I understand the true power of extra-dimensionality, I can't understand these super-dimensional Tao inheritances. But Yi Tian has not given up on the inheritance of super-dimensional Dao seeds. He plans to continue to buy the inheritance of super-dimensional Dao seeds. Because he looks down upon the top super-dimensional Dao seed inheritance. There are definitely better super-dimensional Dao seed inheritances, such as the perfect super-dimensional Dao seed inheritance. Even among the top super-dimensional Taoist inheritances, the Jialan treasure ship is probably the most ordinary kind. The real top super-dimensional Taoist inheritance, the Jialan treasure ship, is probably reluctant to take out. First buy several top-notch super-dimensional Dao inheritances, and then buy a large number of ordinary super-dimensional Dao inheritances. In this way, Yi Tian spent all 3 million Gulan coins in one breath. After that, he went to redeem some blue treasures. Chapter 3151 Gulan Stone Plate, Super-Dimensional Epiphyllum. This time, Yi Tian exchanged 10 million Gulan coins in one go. It has to be said that this exchange really shocked the person in charge of the Jialan treasure ship. They also did not expect that there is a peak world god who is so rich that he can take out 10 million Gulan treasure coins in one go. Of course, even 10 million Jialan treasure coins are not worth mentioning in the eyes of Jialan treasure ship. So, they were just a little surprised and didn't do anything. Has your Jialan treasure ship assisted in deducing some kind of extra-dimensional secret treasure? After walking around, Yi Tian asked an employee of Jialan treasure ship. This employee is also a peak world god, but his aura is not very powerful. He is probably about the same as the fallen six-hole world god. He said slightly, "This guest, the super-dimensional secret treasure suitable for deduction, is too rare. We don't have it on the Gulan treasure ship, and even if it does exist, its value is unimaginable. It will almost never be sold. I guess only deduction-type super-dimensional secret treasures with great side effects can be produced." Just when Yi Tian was disappointed, the employee said, "We don't have a super-dimensional secret treasure that can be deduced, but the Jialan treasure ship has an extra-dimensional thing that can be deduced. Once the extra-dimensional thing is fused, it is possible to deduce it. However, once the deduction is carried out, the side effects will be great." "The side effects are serious. How big are they?" Yi Tian asked. The employee said, "That extra-dimensional thing is a medium extra-dimensional thing. It is very difficult for the peak world god to fuse a medium extra-dimensional thing. Only a half-step extra-dimensional realm can easily integrate a medium extra-dimensional thing. Objects, and even those who are half-step into the realm of extra-dimensionality, would not dare to use that medium extra-dimensional object to deduce. Because once deduced, that extra-dimensional object will even consume the potential of the super-dimensional Taoist species and affect the breakthrough impact. The realm of extra-dimensionality. Once the peak world god uses this extra-dimensional object, it will not only speed up the body's extra-dimensional assimilation many times, but also affect the eternal Tao seed. After deducing it not many times, he will die. What's the name of that extra-dimensional thing, and how many Gulan coins is it worth?" Yi Tian continued to ask. The employee stared at Yi Tian in surprise. He had made it so clear, but Yi Tian was still interested. "Maybe just ask." So, he opened his mouth and said, "That extra-dimensional object is called the Gulan stone plate. It was accidentally discovered by our Gulan treasure ship and its value was discovered. However, unfortunately, after being circulated in a circle, it finally returned to the hands of our Gulan treasure ship. It's not sold anymore. Everyone knows why it has not been sold. Who dares to integrate and use such a useless and deceptive extra-dimensional thing? Once fused, you cannot escape unless you destroy the eternal Tao seed or the extra-dimensional Tao seed. However, your body is still affected by the extra-dimensional things. If you want to completely get rid of the influence of extra-dimensional assimilation, the price is too high. Of course, you can also fuse it all the time without using it, but that will undoubtedly occupy a quota for extra-dimensional things. The limit of the extra-dimensional objects that the peak world god can fuse is 2. Wasting one spot will undoubtedly reduce his combat effectiveness a lot. Therefore, to many peak world gods, the Gulan stone plate is not as good as the most rubbish extra-dimensional thing. The key point is that the Gulan stone plate can be used for deductions and is extremely rare. The Gulan treasure ship cannot be sold at a low price. Even if it cannot be sold, it will be kept. Guest, if you want the Gulan stone plate, our Gulan treasure ship intends to sell it to you for 1 million Gulan treasure coins. The Gulan treasure ship employee said. 1 million Gulan coins. This price is undoubtedly very terrifying. It is more expensive than the inheritance of the top super-dimensional Taoism. The normal price of a complete medium-level super-dimensional object is only about 100,000 gallbladder coins. Even though the Galan stone plate is rare, the price is undoubtedly too high and is almost comparable to the price of some advanced extra-dimensional objects. Who would buy it at such a terrifying price? Yi Tian pondered for a while and said, "Okay, let's make the deal for 1 million Jialanbao coins." The employee was shocked when he heard Yi Tian's words. There is really a peak world god who buys it. He couldn't even afford it, but Yi Tian could just take out so many Galan coins. This is still the pinnacle world god of a weak territory. Those who don't know it might think that it is the pinnacle world god of a super-dimensional force from a powerful territory. However, since Yi Tian purchased it, there is no reason not to sell the Jalan treasure ship. Subsequently, this employee called his leader, a more powerful peak world god, and brought the Galan stone plate to make a deal with Yi Tian. In this way, Yi Tian obtained the Galan stone plate. After obtaining the Galan stone plate, Yi Tian was in a good mood. With the Galan stone plate, he could conduct deductions. Some of the treasures deduced in the past are of little use. If he wants to deduce the perfect super-dimensional Dao seed inheritance in the future, he must use the Galan stone disc, otherwise he will not be able to deduce and perfect the perfect super-dimensional Dao seed inheritance. Moreover, with this Galan stone plate, it will be easier for him to create extra-dimensional techniques in the future. Keep looking, maybe there's something good out there. Yi Tian murmured. As a result, not long after, he really found something good. Open black lens bracket superdimensional epiphyllum close black lens bracket. This superdimensional epiphyllum was born in a special territory, and when it blooms, it will produce real superdimensional power, but the maintenance time is too short. It is undoubtedly impossible to use the superdimensional epiphyllum to realize the real superdimensional power, possible. But if there are enough superdimensional epiphyllums, there is still a little hope of understanding the real superdimensional epiphyllum. It is a pity that the superdimensional epiphyllum is extremely beautiful when it is in full bloom. It is especially suitable for giving gifts during the half-step to the superdimensional realm or between superdimensional realms, which makes it very expensive. It is undoubtedly not cost-effective for the peak world god to purchase it to comprehend the power of extra dimensions. But Yi Tian has never come into contact with treasures containing real superdimensional power, and superdimensional elves can't be found yet. Maybe he can buy a few superdimensional epiphyllums to experience them. Jiao. A superdimensional epiphyllum worth 500,000 Galan coins is too expensive, but you still have to buy it no matter how expensive it is. Yi Tian bought 6 superdimensional epiphyllums in one go. It wasn't that he didn't want to buy more. It was because there were only 6 superdimensional epiphyllums left on this Galan treasure ship, and if he wanted to buy more extra-dimensional epiphyllums, unless it was leave territory no. 7362. After that, Yi Tian purchased information about superdimensional elves. He had learned a little about the superdimensional elves before, but not much after all, so this time he wanted to fully understand the information about the superdimensional elves. In addition, Yi Tian also purchased some extra-dimensional resources that are particularly suitable for him. Different cultivation races and different cultivation methods have different suitable extra-dimensional resources. He also encountered a kind of eternal Dao seed on the Galan treasure ship that was very suitable for tempering his own, so he bought a lot of it. In this case, it will be faster for him to condense the 12th eternal world spirit in the future. Chapter 3152 Weird Blood Pupils, Advanced Extra-Dimensional Things. Time passed slowly, and Yi Tian wandered around on the Jialanbao ship. In fact, the various shops sold here are shops opened by some of the senior executives of Jalan treasure ship, and the people who manage the shops are ordinary employees. It can be seen from this that there are many factions on the Jialanbao ship. Otherwise, just open a big shop. The treasures sold in each store are different. The treasure resources sold in some stores are really ordinary, but some stores sell a large number of precious items. This shows that the backend is very hard. At this time, Yi Tian came to the largest store of Jalan treasure ship. The treasures sold here are undoubtedly the most precious, with large quantities and complete varieties. Yi Tian looked here for a long time, and finally focused on another treasure. Open black lens bracket strange blood eyes close black lens bracket. This is an advanced extra-dimensional thing, but it is not a complete advanced extra-dimensional thing. According to the introduction, the real and complete high-dimensional extra-dimensional object, the strange blood pupil, is a strange tree, which is covered with a large number of blood pupils, and this is just one of the strange blood pupils. Although it is an incomplete high-level extra-dimensional object, it does not contain a lot of extra-dimensional power, but it is far superior to medium-sized extra-dimensional objects. What are the side effects of this weird blood pupil? Yi Tian asked. The employee 190 stared at Yi Tian in surprise. After all, advanced extra-dimensional things in peak world gods could not be integrated. Why did he ask this? This thing is prepared for the half-step super-dimensional realm, and Yi Tian is obviously not the half-step super-dimensional realm. However, he still patiently introduced. This guest, the strange blood pupil is suitable for the half-step superdimensional realm, but even the half-step superdimensional realm dare not fuse it. Once fused, it will be invaded by a strange force. Over time, even the will collapse or go crazy. Even the real superdimensional power cannot erase the strange power in the strange blood pupils. Moreover, the strange blood pupils will also affect the superdimensional Taoist species, making it almost impossible to break through to the superdimensional realm. Of course, there is no way to eliminate the side effects. If you can find some purification resources and spend a long time to eliminate the side effects little by little, it shouldn't have too much impact, but that kind of purification superdimensional treasure is too rare. We don't have the Jalan treasure ship either. What is the use of the strange blood pupils? Yi Tian asked again. After the fusion of the strange blood pupil, the perception can be greatly expanded, and it can also spy on areas that could not be spied on before AFCB. Moreover, the strange blood pupil can also be combined with an extradimensional technique to spy on the power of extradimensionality. The essence of it helps to understand the power of extradimensionality, but it is useless. After all, those who can integrate it are half-steps of the extradimensional realm and have already understood the power of extradimensionality. Of course, it is used to track and find various items help a lot. For example, this territory will soon attract a superdimensional storm. If it is integrated with the weird blood pupil, even the superdimensional storm will not affect the exploration. Otherwise, in the superdimensional storm, the peak world, the area that God can spy on, is very small, and even the will be torn apart by the superdimensional storm. But the strange blood pupil can ignore the superdimensional storm and can easily explore every area. If it is used to hunt down enemies, you want to track it in the strange blood pupil. It would be almost impossible to escape. This employee said a lot, which also made Yi Tian fully understand the value of this strange blood pupil. But unfortunately, this is a very useless thing. However, Jalan treasure ship is not afraid that no one will buy these useless things. Maybe there will be someone in the half-step superdimensional realm who has a solution and can buy them. If you really don't have the half-step to the superdimensional realm to buy it, then put it here, it won't take up any space anyway. Weird blood pupils, I want them. Yi Tian said. What, you want it? This employee of Jalan treasure ship was shocked. This has extremely serious side effects. If the peak world god dared to fuse it, he would be seeking death. Under such circumstances, Yi Tian still dares to buy. Are there too many Jalanbao coins to use up? Guest, weird blood pupil sells 600,000 Galan treasure coins, no bargaining, the employee said. Good, Yi Tian nodded. The price is not expensive. If it weren't for this side effect, just its value in helping to comprehend the power of extra dimensions would not be able to be bought with millions of Galan coins. After all, the value of any treasure that helps comprehend the power of extra dimensions is exaggerated. For example, the Galan treasure ship sells a resource that assists in comprehending the power of extra dimensions, called the Netherworld treasure leaf, which is many times more precious than the extra-dimensional epiphyllum. The superdimensional epiphyllum only lasts for a short time, but the Netherworld treasure leaf is different. It can last for a long time, but it is too expensive and requires 1,600 square meters of Jalanbao city. Even Yi Tian was reluctant to buy it. Moreover, he cannot purchase the Netherworld treasure leaf, because purchasing the Netherworld treasure leaf requires not only Galan treasure coins, but also several other resources. Only by finding those special resources can he exchange for the Netherworld treasure leaf. 16 million Jalan treasure coins, plus several special extra-dimensional resources that even Yi Tian didn't know about, were able to purchase the Netherworld treasure leaf. Obviously, the strong man behind that shop needs those resources, but those resources are not as valuable as the Netherworld treasure leaf, so they need to pay an additional 16 million Galan treasure coins. The value of treasures that assist in understanding the power of extra dimensions is too high. The value of extra-dimensional elves must be unimaginable. Of course, the value of a super-dimensional elf cannot be compared to this Galan treasure ship. The weakest super-dimensional elves are comparable to the existence of the half-step super-dimensional realm, and the best ones are comparable to the super-dimensional realm. Who dares to provoke them, and it is not easy to find. If the half-step super-dimensional realm dares to track the super-dimensional, the elves may all perish. Not to mention a mere 16 million Galan treasure coins, even 1 billion Galan treasure coins is far less than a super-dimensional elf. So, Yi Tian didn't dare to think about the netherworld treasure leaf at all. Now that he can buy the strange blood pupils, he is already very excited. To him, this thing is worth countless times more than the netherworld treasure leaf. Other half-step super-dimensional realms dare not bear the price of weird blood pupils, but he doesn't care. Soon, Yi Tian paid the Jalan treasure coins and bought the strange blood pupil. Next, Yi Tian continued to wander around, but didn't find anything good. In fact, the Jalan treasure ship will not take out the really good things. The so-called good things they bring out have some side effects, which are looked down upon by the senior management of the Jalan treasure ship. Or they may be ordinary extra-dimensional resources in other territories, but for them, the realm god at the pinnacle of the realm is very valuable, so he will take it out. Chapter 3153 The Jalan treasure ship leaves. Some time has passed and the auction of the Jalan treasure ship is about to begin. A group of peak world gods entered the auction one after another, but those who came in were all peak world gods from realm No. 7362. Peak world gods from other realms would not enter. After all, this is an auction for ship quotas or employee quotas. They have already purchased them, so there is no need to bid again. Soon, all the peak world gods of territory number 7362 were sitting here. Yi Tian was sitting with some of the top world gods of the human race. Naturally, these peak world gods of the human race would not come to buy a place to join the ship. They couldn't afford it, they were just here to gain experience. At this time, a peak world god from the Jalan treasure ship came up as the auctioneer. This peak world god is not the same as the last peak world god, but no peak world god would care about this. After the auctioneer said some opening words, he announced the start of the auction. The first place to follow the ship will be auctioned next, with a starting price of 100,000 Jalanbao coins. Said the auctioneer. The starting price did not increase, it was still the same as last time, but the final transaction price was definitely more than this price. The key is that they don't know how many quotas there are, and Jalan treasure ship did not announce the transaction quota this time. Moreover, the peak world gods of other realms do not disclose the number of ship following places, but it can be roughly guessed that the number of ship following places should be no less than 100. Therefore, the bidding for the first ship following spot should not be too fierce, but it will definitely be higher than before. Because anyone who wants to buy a boat traveling quota will definitely go bankrupt. Therefore, I am willing to pay more Jalanbao coins. Really, a famous peak world god bid wildly. 120,000 Galan coins. 160,000 Galan coins. 200,000 Galan coins. After these peak world gods plundered the demon seed abyss, plundered some resources from the destroyed supreme forces, and allocated some resources to the Ice Ghost organization, each of them has a high net worth. Gradually, the bidding price has soared to 300,000 Jalanbao coins. In the end, a peak world god bid for the ship following spot at a price of 390,000 Galan treasure coins. This price is much higher than last time. After that, each ship's quota was around 270,000 Galan treasure coins. Suddenly, Yi Tian was a little surprised by the bidding of a peak world god. It's the god of the 2-year realm. This guy is leaving too. Yi Tian secretly said, this person is one of the 6 supreme world gods among the supreme forces. Now he should be regarded as one of the 7 supreme world gods, because his strength is even more powerful. Such a pinnacle world god used to be the top existence in territory No. 7362. He did not need to take risks, but could continuously obtain extra-dimensional resources. He was indispensable for any benefit. But now, he also wants to leave. It is estimated that after purchasing the place to follow the ship, the god of Liangyi will pay a huge price to let the Jalan treasure ship send him to a more powerful territory before disembarking. Yi Tian guessed. However, this has nothing to do with him. Soon, Liangyi realm god bought a place to follow the ship. After, 5 of the other 6 supreme world gods have also purchased quotas to follow the ship. Apparently they are leaving and will not stay in this territory. Obviously, none of them can persist for hundreds of extra-dimensional epochs, and they are also deeply affected by the assimilation of extra-dimensionalities. Only by leaving can they have a chance to persist longer, and have the slightest hope of comprehending the power of extradimensionalities and advancing to the half-step extradimensional realm. Of course, the greater possibility is to fall and die during the adventure, but they have no other choice. As one peak world god after another purchased the quota to join the ship, there were fewer and fewer peak world gods with huge wealth, and the bidding prices became lower and lower. This made the peak world gods who started bidding regret it. If they had known earlier, they would have bid later and saved some Jalanbao coins, but no matter how the transaction price was reduced, it would not be lower than 300,000 Jalanbao coins. Gradually, the 100 places to follow the boat were sold out. At this time, when the auctioneer of the Jalan treasure ship saw that the transaction price was almost below 300,000 Jalan treasure coins, he stopped granting quotas for following the ship. Dear Peak World Gods, these are the following quotas for the Jalan treasure ship. Next, the employee quotas will be sold. The employee quotas can be announced in advance. A total of 10 employee quotas will be sold, and the starting price is 300,000 Jalan treasure coins. Then, the auction begins. However, there are not many Peak World Gods bidding for employee quotas, only those who are still bidding. In the end, a Peak World God bid for an employee spot at a price of 1.12 million. The other 9 employee quotas were all sold for less than 1 million. 0. Please give me flowers. It can be said that these quotas have almost exhausted the wealth of these peak players. Of course, there are some peak world gods who are deeply hidden, and they may still have a lot of wealth, but they still need to be managed in the future, and there are a lot of places where they need to spend Jalan treasure coins. As the 10 employee quotas were auctioned, the auctioneer of the Jalan treasure ship announced, "This peak world god, this auction is over. Please leave later, and those peak world gods who do not have ship quotas and employee quotas will not stay here." In addition, the next time the Jalan treasure ship arrives will be after 100 extra-dimensional eras. After saying that, many peak world gods left one after another. Outside the Jalan treasure ship, Yi Tian and other peak world gods came out, but they were missing more than 100 peak world gods, and they were still the most powerful group of peak world gods. 0. It can be said that the strength of all the supreme forces today has plummeted, leaving only some weak peak world gods. Only the human race is still so powerful. At this time, many peak world gods are confused. They all know very well that Yi Tian is extremely powerful and has a lot of wealth, so why is he not enough to buy a place to follow the ship? In fact, Yi Tian also considered whether to buy a ship following quota and then leave this territory. But he thought about it carefully and forgot about it. First of all, the quota for joining the Galan treasure ship will only take him into a weaker territory. If he wants to enter a strong territory, he needs to pay more Galan treasure coins. The key is that even if he enters those powerful realms, it will be very difficult for him to become a half-step super-dimensional realm. So, he wanted to find a way to leave territory number 7362 after comprehending the power of extradimensionality. For example, the extra-dimensional formation of the Ice Ghost organization can leave, and the Ice Ghost organization will inevitably come to retaliate, and he can leave at that time. With resources such as the strange blood pupil, I have a high chance of comprehending the power of extra dimensions, so I don't have to worry about being unable to leave. In fact, there is another problem, that is, he has too many secrets, and this time he bought too many good things. He is worried that the Jalan treasure ship will spy on him. Therefore, he left immediately. Fortunately, Jalan Bao's ship was doing business and did not send the Pinnacle World God to follow it. But if he leaves with the Jalan treasure ship, there is no guarantee that the Jalan treasure ship will not pay attention to him. Chapter 3154 The Strange Blood Pupil Technique, Understanding the Essence of Super-Dimensional Power. After the Galan treasure ship left, the Supreme Forces began to prepare for the extra-dimensional storm. At most 100 billion Zidao era years, the super-dimensional storm will come. At that time, ordinary creatures could not survive at all. In the eternal realm and the realm of realm gods, there is a high probability that more than 90% of the creatures will perish, unless there is a supreme force to protect them. But the supreme power is not a philanthropist, so it is naturally impossible for him to do such a thing. Moreover, for them, no matter how many ordinary creatures die, they can just breed another batch when the time comes. Yi Tian will only protect the human race or a few ethnic groups who have taken refuge with the human race and let them enter the star dimension void sky formation, but there is no guarantee that every living being can survive. After all, the star dimension void sky formation can withstand the penetration of extra-dimensional storms, but it may not be able to completely resist it. It may still cause some escaping power to appear within the 490 formation. If some creatures are unlucky, it may still be possible, will be obliterated. The arrangement of the star-dimensional void heaven formation has been completed, and I have also set up one at the Eternal Kingdom. I will send other human races and those who have taken refuge in the human race, and then let the six-peak human world gods maintain the formation. Now it is time to integrate the super it's a way thing. One of the extra-dimensional objects that Yi Tian wants to fuse is the Galan stone plate, which is an extra-dimensional object that can be deduced. Once the fusion is successful, he can use this extra-dimensional object to perform deductions. In the future, there is a chance that it can be used to deduce the perfect super-dimensional Taoist inheritance. The second fused extra-dimensional object is the weird blood pupil. If he has the weird blood pupil, he may have a greater chance of finding the extra-dimensional elves after the extra-dimensional storm comes. Once he finds the extra-dimensional elves, he might be able to find them. There is a deeper understanding of extra-dimensional power. Moreover, he also has a super-dimensional epiphyleum, which can be understood with the help of strange blood pupils. Yi Tianxian tried to fuse the Galan stone disc. The Galan stone disc is a medium extra-dimensional object, and the difficulty of fusion should be lower. After trying again and again, Yi Tian failed again and again, changing his body again and again, and finally successfully fused this extra-dimensional object in a fusion process. Once the fusion is successful once, even if the replica body dies later, other replica bodies can still perfectly integrate extra-dimensional objects. After all, every copy of his body is the same, and any extra-dimensional object can be integrated into other bodies. After the fusion was successful, Yi Tian began to fuse the strange blood pupil, one of the fragments of the advanced extra-dimensional object. It has to be said that the fusion of this advanced extra-dimensional object is very difficult, even more difficult than fusing other advanced extra-dimensional objects, because this thing is so weird, it continuously penetrates the will in every part of the body during the fusion, which is slightly wrong. One point and it will fall instantly. It took Yi Tian a full trillion Tao-era years to successfully fuse the strange blood pupil. After fusing the strange blood pupil, Yi Tian was ready to try to understand the superdimensional calendar. So, he took out the superdimensional epiphyleum. The superdimensional epiphyleum contains real superdimensional power. Now you can finally see it. Yi Tian took out a superdimensional epiphyleum and poured the power of eternal Tao seed into it, urging it to bloom. Boom! The superdimensional epiphyleum gradually bloomed, and the surrounding void began to twist, gradually turning into a superdimensional world. Here, the power of extra-dimensional power bursts out. This is the extra-dimensional power of extra-dimensional things, but the real extra-dimensional power, the extra-dimensional power that comes from the origin of extra-dimensionality. Weird blood eyes. Weird bloody eyes. Weird blood eyes is an extra-dimensional technique. Only by combining this extra-dimensional technique with weird blood eyes can the ability of weird blood eyes be unleashed. And this extra-dimensional technique was given as a gift from Jalan treasure ship, and its value is not high. After all, there is no way to practice weird blood eyes without weird blood eyes. And without the weird blood eyes, the weird blood pupils are worthless. Therefore, Yi Tian would not buy the strange blood pupils if he did not give them as a gift. Buzz. Yi Tian's eyes turned strange blood red, and under the observation of his strange blood eyes, the superdimensional power of the superdimensional epiphyleum seemed to be analyzed bit by bit, allowing him to see the essence of the superdimensional ceremonial calendar. Time passed little by little. The superdimensional epiphyleum gradually withered, and the superdimensional power also dissipated. What a pity, the time is too short, Yi Tian murmured. However, if the superdimensional epiphyleum lasts for a long time, it will not be so cheap. Afterwards, he continued to use the second superdimensional epiphyleum, and continued to use the strange blood pupils to understand the essence of the superdimensional power. Just like that, the superdimensional epiphyleums in Yi Tian's hands were used up one by one. Soon after, all the superdimensional epiphyleums were exhausted. And, because Yi Tian continued to use the strange blood pupil, he also suffered from serious physical problems. The most important thing is the will. There is a big problem with the will of his replica body. Even when he is not practicing, he can still hear some weird sounds and some strange illusions. This is because the will has been eroded, producing inexplicable effects. Fortunately, this situation does not affect other replicating bodies. Later, Yi Tian let the replica body annihilate itself, completely solving the problem. In fact, even if this replica body is not annihilated, it will not last long. After the super-dimensional epiphyleum was exhausted, Yi Tian meditated on his own for a period of time, and then came out of seclusion. I have gained a lot from this practice. Although I have not comprehended the real power of extra dimensions, I have gained enough understanding of the power of extra dimensions. Yi Tian secretly said, if he finds another super-dimensional elf, then his hope of understanding the power of super-dimensionality will be even greater. Although the weird blood pupil is very good, it does not fully exert the effect of the weird blood pupil. At most, it can exert 1/10 of its effect. This should be a half-step super-dimensional realm expert who has integrated the weird blood pupil. It was created by someone else, and the opponent's fusion time is not very long, so he cannot create too powerful a super-dimensional technique. But I am different, I can always fuse the strange blood pupil, 4.8, and there is also a Galan stone disc. If I use the Galan stone disc come and create, maybe you can create a better extra-dimensional technique. Certainly, this was discovered by Yi Tian after he kept using the strange blood pupils. Otherwise, he would have kept those extra-dimensional epiphyleums. In the following days, Yi Tian continued to use the Galan stone plate to perform deductions. Once his body could no longer bear it, he would switch to another body and continue the deductions. In this way, as a long time passed, Yi Tian finally deduced an extra-dimensional technique that could almost bring out the full effect of the strange blood pupils. Weird blood eye technique. Yi Tian directly named it after this extra-dimensional object. With the strange blood pupil technique, he has greater hope of understanding the power of extra dimensions. However, the price of the strange blood pupil technique is higher, but he doesn't care about the price. Chapter 3155 The super-dimensional storm is coming. The arrival of the super-dimensional storm is getting closer and closer, and Yi Tian has been practicing hard. With the extra-dimensional resources suitable for him that he bought on the Galan treasure ship last time, his eternal Dao seed tempering effect is very good, but he wants to temper the eternal Dao seed to the extreme before the extra-dimensional storm comes, and condense the 12th and eternal world spirit. That is obviously too late. But, relying on the extra-dimensional object of the Galan stone plate, he continued to deduce the extra-dimensional techniques, and finally perfected each of the extra-dimensional techniques. The effect increased by at least 30%, which was equivalent to increasing his own strength. 1 trillion after another trillion years have passed. This day, a breeze gradually blew in the death void. This breeze seemed to have no power, but this was an abnormal phenomenon. There is no such thing as wind in the death void, and now there is a breeze, which is enough to represent that this is one of the signs of the coming super-dimensional storm. At most, after 3 trillion epochs of time, the super-dimensional storm will come. This is the result deduced by Yi Tian using the Galan stone plate. During this period, the extra-dimensional void in territory number 7362 was already unstable, and those formations that crossed the extra-dimensional barrier across the border could not cross it. But, Yi Tian is extremely looking forward to the coming of the super-dimensional storm. O5 On the other hand, the realm of gods and the realm of eternity are in chaos. Because some peak world gods among the supreme forces revealed the coming of the extra-dimensional storm to some high-level world gods of the top forces, and the high-level world gods leaked it out again. This caused the top forces to know about it. Although some ordinary forces don't know what happened, they also know that a disaster is coming, and if they don't take refuge in the supreme forces, they will almost certainly die. So, there is chaos everywhere. The realm of endless seams. The human temple. Yi Xingchen came to find Yi Tian. Father, many top forces want to join us and enter the No. 2-star dimensional void heaven formation to avoid the extra-dimensional storm. Yi Xingchen Hui reported. Ignore it. Yi Tian waved his hand. These forces did not take refuge in the past, but now they come to take refuge. They just want to save their lives, and our human race does not need them to strengthen our power. Even if we save them, we will not get their gratitude. It may cause some minor troubles in the future. Yes, Father. Yi Xingchen understood. Subsequently, the human race rejected the surrender of those top forces, which made many world gods angry and secretly cursed the human race. Of course, they did not give up hope and went to seek refuge with other supreme forces. It is a pity that other supreme forces do not accept these top forces. As for the World Court headquarters, it has now been disbanded. The world gods belonging to the supreme power in the World Court headquarters have all returned, otherwise they will be killed. Under the super-dimensional storm, the Jieting headquarters will not be able to withstand it. The arrival of the super-dimensional storm is getting closer and closer, the chaos is getting more and more serious, and many world gods are starting to go crazy and even turn into demon species. However, the supreme forces have activated the ultra-dimensional formation, completely sealing off the outside world and ignoring all actions of the outside world. The same is true for the human race. Yi Tian asked the peak world gods to maintain the star dimension void heaven formation and take turns to rest. Several of his cloned bodies are also maintaining formations to ensure that the star dimension void sky formation can block the extra-dimensional storm and reduce losses. Another period of time passed, and the death void began to shake. The superdimensional storm is finally coming. Coming. Yi Tian said. As soon as Yi Xingchen and the others heard Yi Tian's words, they knew that a superdimensional storm was coming, and they were all a little nervous. They don't know what a superdimensional storm looks like. Everything is unknown. Although the star dimension void sky formation can withstand the superdimensional storm, they still don't know the specific situation, so they are naturally a little worried. Death void. Boom. The superdimensional storm is coming, and the terrifying storm sweeps everything. A superdimensional treasure land was instantly shattered by the superdimensional storm. The strength of each of the extra-dimensional creatures is comparable to the powerful peak world gods, second only to the two-dimensional world gods. However, under the sweep of the extra-dimensional storm, the physical bodies of these extra-dimensional creatures gradually shattered, and only a handful of extra-dimensional creatures with strong life-saving abilities survived. Certainly, this extra-dimensional storm also swept through the territory of some terrifying extra-dimensional creatures. Somewhere in the death void, a terrifying black giant snake woke up and roared when it saw that its nest was destroyed by a super-dimensional storm. And this roar caused the surrounding storms to stop for a moment, and then it tore apart the extra-dimensional storm and crossed away. After a while, it arrived at the border extra-dimensional barrier. With a flick of its tail, it directly tore apart the border extra-dimensional barrier and left territory No. 7362. Obviously, it doesn't like to stay in the super-dimensional storm territory, and now it is moving. If there is even half a step into the ultra-dimensional realm here, you will know that the strength of this extra-dimensional creature has reached the ultra-dimensional realm. In addition to this extra-dimensional creature in the extra-dimensional realm, there are a few beings in territory number 7362 who have reached the half-step of the extra-dimensional realm. They are also very powerful. Although they cannot leave this territory, he will not be hurt by extra-dimensional storms. However, in the ultra-dimensional storm, the range of their perception is also very small, they do not dare to run around, and they still live in their own territory. Soon, the super-dimensional storm swept across the entire territory of number 7362, and the realm of gods, the eternal realm, the demonic abyss, and the realms of the seams were naturally affected. The realm of the gods. Boom, cracks were created everywhere, and the aftermath of the superdimensional storm was involved. The superdimensional storm cannot destroy the eternal realm 323 in the realm of the gods, but it can destroy the creatures inside. I saw a wisp of extra-dimensional storm descending on an eternal kingdom. The next moment, this eternal kingdom was instantly annihilated and turned into ashes. Disaster. This is a real disaster. When a high-level peak world god saw this scene, defensive weapons appeared on his body, and various life-saving eternal world spirit techniques were blessed on his body. However, a wisp of extra-dimensional storm descended. No, in despair, this high-level peak world god was instantly annihilated by a wisp of extra-dimensional storm. Gradually, the super-dimensional storm blew through some obscure realms and destroyed these realms one after another. However, there was nothing wrong with the place where the human race originated, because that realm was put away by Yi Tian, so it didn't matter. As time passed, most of the eternal realm and the world god realm collapsed and were annihilated, and countless creatures fell, just like a catastrophe of annihilation. Rumble. Super-dimensional storms continue to impact the star-dimensional virtual sky array. But Yi Tian kept activating the extra-dimensional formation to resist the aftermath of the extra-dimensional storm, so nothing happened. The star-dimensional void sky array is very powerful, and I didn't cut corners, so it should be able to block the aftermath of the superdimensional storm. Yi Tian secretly said. Immediately, he prepared to let his duplicate body enter the extra-dimensional storm to find the existence of the extra-dimensional elves. Chapter 3156, First Encounter with Superdimensional Elves. Boom, the superdimensional storm swept across the territory of number 7362, and countless creatures and resources were turned into ashes under the superdimensional storm. At this time, Yi Tian forcibly entered the death void. He did have a duplicate body in the death void before, but he came back before the super-dimensional storm came, and now he has entered again. As soon as he entered the death void, the endless power of the extra-dimensional storm crushed his body. At this moment, Yi Tian felt very uncomfortable, as if he was enduring endless attacks. He constantly activated various super-dimensional secret treasures to protect himself, and then he was able to hold on. For an ordinary peak world god, if he enters the death void at this time, he will almost certainly die. Yi Tian murmured, and he also discovered that his own perception was limited countless times, and he could not explore very far at all. Some special super-dimensional secret treasures could not peer into very far distances. It seems that we have to rely on the extra-dimensional thing called the weird blood pupil. Yi Tian activated the strange blood pupil technique, and in an instant, his eyes penetrated the extra-dimensional storm and peered into a very far distance. In this way, the distance he explored in the super-dimensional storm was farther than half a step into the super-dimensional realm, and there was still hope of finding the super-dimensional elves. Certainly, his strength is far inferior to that of the super-dimensional elves. Any super-dimensional elves can kill him instantly. But as long as you find the super-dimensional elves, you can spy on the super-dimensional patterns on the super-dimensional elves and understand the super-dimensional mysteries of the super-dimensional elves. Moreover, with the effect of the strange blood pupil technique, it might be possible to prevent weaker super-dimensional elves from detecting him. Start exploring. Yi Tian set off and explored each area. However, his speed is very slow, he cannot escape quickly in the super-dimensional storm, and he cannot explore too many places in a short time. And he also found that many places had been destroyed by the superdimensional storm, but many dangers had also disappeared. In the past, you might have been attracted by the illusion of certain treasures, leading to a desperate situation. But under the impact of the super-dimensional storm, those illusions naturally did not exist, and many dangers were exposed. After Yi Tian used the strange blood pupil technique to spy, as long as he sensed a death crisis, he would no longer approach. Under such circumstances, it is not easy for him to fall. Otherwise, he would not be able to escape even if he encountered an extra-dimensional creature that was half a step into the extra-dimensional realm. There are so many dangerous places in the death void. I just searched some areas and found more than 50 places where I felt death. Most of them hide extra-dimensional creatures that are half a step into the extra-dimensional realm. Yi Tian secretly said. He could not sense these half-step extra-dimensional creatures in the past, but under the impact of the extra-dimensional storm, their camouflage was useless and their lairs were exposed. However, they did not dare to run around and stayed there all the time. They were unable to detect Yi Tian's strange blood pupil technique, so they were naturally unaware of Yi Tian's existence. Years pass. Yi Tian searched many places in territory number 7362, but found no trace of the super-dimensional elves. However, he didn't give up. He really couldn't hold on, so he went back and changed to a replica body and let other replica bodies explore. In this way, hundreds of trillions of years have passed. Compared to a super-dimensional era, this little time is nothing. And Yi Tian explored many places, and although he didn't find the super-dimensional elves, he found a lot of good things. 6 fragments of high-level extra-dimensional things, 72 pieces of medium-level extra-dimensional things and fragments, and a large number of low-level extra-dimensional things. This is what Yi Tian learned about extra-dimensional things, as well as some other good things. In terms of total value, it is no less than 50 million Gulan coins. Of course, that means he can stay far away from the extra-dimensional creatures in the half-step extra-dimensional realm. Otherwise, even if he comes to the half-step extra-dimensional realm, he may encounter danger or even fall to death. It has to be said that in the ultra-dimensional storm, the strange blood pupil, an extra-dimensional thing, is so awesome that it can avoid many dangers for him. But he also consumes some copies of his body. After all, he kept activating the strange blood pupils, and his body couldn't bear it, and he would eventually fall. Fortunately, the cost of condensing and replicating his body is not high, and the rewards are naturally extremely rich. But Yi Tian's desire for these resources is not strong. What he needs are super-dimensional elves. Only by finding super-dimensional elves can he realize the power of superdimensionality. For him, only comprehending the power of extra dimensions is the most important thing. We have to continue looking for the super-dimensional elves. Yi Tian secretly said. On this day, when Yi Tian was exploring an area, he suddenly felt a strong wave of battle. Boom! This fluctuation far exceeded Yi Tian's imagination. It was definitely 2 powerful men who far surpassed him fighting. Yi Tian immediately went over and used the strange blood pupil technique to spy. Soon, a picture appeared in his eyes. The fighting party is a half-step super-dimensional strongman, and it is definitely not an ordinary half-step super-dimensional state. His strength is more than 100 times stronger than the blood shadow puppet. On the other side of the battle are elves covered with extra-dimensional lines. It's a super-dimensional elf. Yi Tian was excited. This super-dimensional elf is not very powerful and has not yet entered the super-dimensional realm. Obviously, that half-step to the super-dimensional realm wanted to kill or capture this super-dimensional elf. The half-step superdimensional realm cannot cross the border and the extra-dimensional barrier, but this half-step superdimensional realm has come over. It seems that it used special means to get here, and its origin must be unusual. Yi Tian secretly said. He did not get close to the battlefield, otherwise he would be discovered by them. With his strength, no matter where their opponent is, Yuba can kill him countless times. Therefore, he could only use the strange blood pupil technique to spy. Moreover, he can directly observe the battle in the half-step super-dimensional realm, and he can also observe and understand the super-dimensional power they displayed, which will help him understand the super-dimensional power. In addition, the strange blood pupil technique can also directly observe the extra-dimensional lines on the super-dimensional elves, which is the biggest gain. Although the distance is a bit far and the effect of observation is not very good, it is still many times more powerful than meditating silently on your own. I hope they will fight for a few more years, so that I can learn more about it for a long time. In this way, Yi Tian studied here, observing the superdimensional lines on the superdimensional elves, and understanding their battles, and his understanding of the power of the superdimensional became deeper and deeper. For him, this is a great opportunity, and he may only encounter it once, so naturally he cannot give up. At the same time, his other cloned bodies have also come here. If their battle is over and the super-dimensional elves are not caught, he is still prepared to approach the super-dimensional elves and die, so as to understand the super-dimensional power of the super-dimensional elves in a more intuitive way. Chapter 3157 The Arm of the Superdimensional Elf. Unknowingly, a long time passed. The half-stepping super-dimensional realm was still fighting with the super-dimensional elf. They have been fighting for a long time, but they have not given up. After all, it is not easy to meet a super-dimensional elf, and the one who is half-step into the super-dimensional realm is naturally unwilling to give up. However, gradually, the half-step super-dimensional realm seemed to be unable to hold on. In terms of the extra-dimensional power they control, the extra-dimensional elves seem to be more powerful, but the physical body of the half-step extra-dimensional realm is more powerful. Suddenly, the half-step super-dimensional realm sacrificed a powerful treasure, which was a small sword. This small sword burst out with extremely sharp power, instantly cutting through the extra-dimensional storm, and penetrated the body of the extra-dimensional elf with one blow. It is definitely a weapon that surpasses advanced super-dimensional secret treasures. It was the first time for Yi Tian to see a weapon of this level, and he had no idea where it came from. This small sword penetrated the body of the super-dimensional elf, but it did not kill the super-dimensional elf. It would be strange if the extra-dimensional elves could be killed so easily. After the half-step super-dimensional realm injured the super-dimensional elf, he did not continue to use the small sword, but put it away, and his aura weakened. Obviously, using this weapon will cause great harm to him. It is probably forced to activate it, and his own cultivation cannot activate it for a long time. The super-dimensional elves did more damage, and were at an absolute disadvantage for a while. Is that super-dimensional elf about to be captured? Yi Tian secretly said. He didn't want the super-dimensional elf to be caught. In that case, he would not be able to continue to comprehend the power of the super-dimensional. I hope the super-dimensional elves have some trump cards. Yi Tian secretly thought, and his wish came true. The superdimensional elves indeed have a trump card. I saw the superdimensional lines on the superdimensional elf releasing infinite light and gradually turned into an arrow. Seeing this arrow, the face of the half-step superdimensional realm changed drastically. Superdimensional origin skill. His pupils shrank. This was a superdimensional origin skill that could kill half-step to the superdimensional realm. Logically speaking, only a very small number of superdimensional elves who had reached the half-step to the superdimensional realm could awaken. He didn't expect that he was so unlucky. Escape. This half-step superdimensional realm used some kind of special treasure to instantly tear the void and escape. Being able to tear apart the void in a superdimensional storm shows how precious and powerful this treasure is, but even if he escaped, the arrow condensed by the superdimensional elf shot out and disappeared across the void. As for whether the half-step superdimensional warrior died, Yi Tian didn't know. But he knew very well that this super-dimensional elf had won. We have to go and entangle this super-dimensional elf. Yi Tian's other cloned bodies rushed over quickly. The famous super-dimensional elf is also moving, but its aura is very weak, and it is obviously in a state of serious injury. But no matter how hard he was hit, Yi Tian was far from his opponent. Soon, Yi Tian approached this super-dimensional elf, and this super-dimensional elf also discovered Yi Tian. Boom, a wisp of extra-dimensional power turned into a thread to kill. This is true extra-dimensional power. It was also the first time that Yi Tian faced the attack of real extra-dimensional power, which was far superior in quality to the extra-dimensional power in extra-dimensional things. Of course, the extra-dimensional abilities of some extra-dimensional things are very weird, and it is not difficult to underestimate them. Even real extra-dimensional power may not be able to compete with them. But that kind of extra-dimensional thing is still very rare. Puff! Yi Tian's body was penetrated by the thread of superdimensional power, and his body immediately collapsed and died. However, the death of this replica body was worth it, as it allowed him to truly appreciate the power of extra-dimensional power, which was very helpful for him to understand the power of extra-dimensionality. This super-dimensional elf didn't care about Yi Tian. To it, Yi Tian was just an ant. No matter how powerful the peak world god is, it is impossible to threaten the half-step superdimensional realm. The gap between the two is really too big. After all, the strong ones who can break through to the half-step super-dimensional realm, regardless of their poor foundation, almost always break through with the most perfect foundation. Therefore, fighting over the next level is almost non-existent. Soon, another copy of Yi Tian AFCH's body approached, and the super-dimensional elf was stunned for a moment. It remembered that it had killed Yi Tian just now, so why did another one appear? However, it continued to attack and killed Yi Tian again. In this way, Yi Tian died again and realized the power of extra dimensions again and again. Coupled with the spying and analysis of the strange blood pupils, he understood the power of extra dimensions better. Certainly, Yi Tian also had to admit that he still underestimated the difficulty of comprehending the power of extra dimensions. If this continues, it is unlikely that he will be able to comprehend the true power of extra dimensions. Unless, he can obtain a super-dimensional elf corpse, and then spend a long time to understand it. Yi Tian's expression changed. That half-step super-dimensional realm is back. Yi Tian secretly said. Obviously, the arrow from the super-dimension elf did not kill the half-step super-dimension realm, it only severely injured him, but the half-step super-dimension realm must have paid a heavy price. Whoosh! Yi Tian's other cloned bodies moved away and no longer approached. Soon, the half-stepping super-dimensional realm found the super-dimensional elf again, and the two sides started fighting again. This time, the super-dimensional elf is at a disadvantage. After all, it has just forced the use of super-dimensional origin skills, and the price paid is not low, and the injuries are naturally not light. It didn't take long. The half-stepping super-dimensional realm used some kind of weapon to instantly cut off one of the super-dimensional elf's arms. At this moment, the superdimensional elves finally panicked and began to flee. As for the half-step pursuit in the superdimensional realm, the speed of the two was very fast, and Yi Tian couldn't catch up at all. I can't catch up, they're so weird and my pupil skills can't detect them. Yi Tian gave up tracking and instead let a replica body go to the place where they just fought. This is it. Yi Tian stared at an arm of the superdimensional elf. This arm also contained superdimensional lines and contained the mystery of superdimensional power. It can be said that the value of this hand is huge. Immediately, Yi Tian sealed the arm and ran away quickly. After staying away from here, Yi Tian returned to the realm of gods. Then he used one kind of superdimensional secret treasure after another, using these superdimensional secret treasures as the basis to seal the arm of this superdimensional elf. Coupled with the isolation between the realm and the star dimension void heaven formation, he believed that it would be difficult for the superdimensional elves to find him. Moreover, the superdimensional elves may not be able to survive. Even if they survive, they will not get their arms back. Instead, they will recondensate one arm and slowly nourish and recover it. I was so lucky this time. I didn't expect to get the arm of a superdimensional elf. Yi Tian was very excited. He had never thought about this before. With this extra-dimensional elf arm, his success rate in comprehending the true extra-dimensional power has doubled. Chapter 3158 Completely comprehend the power of superdimensions. In the following years, Yi Tian will not take risks in superdimensional storms. It will be difficult to encounter such a situation again. Moreover, he has been exploring like this, and there are risks. If he encounters a super-dimensional realm, the strange blood pupil cannot detect the opponent in advance, and he may be killed by the opponent, and then he will lose the strange blood pupil, which is an advanced super-dimensional thing. Therefore, he was prepared not to enter the superdimensional storm for the time being. Next, try your best to understand the power of extra dimensions. Only by understanding the power of extra dimensions as soon as possible can you deal with the threat of the Ice Ghost organization. Yi Tian secretly said. The core of the layers of seals. Yi Tian stayed with an arm of the superdimensional elf, and activated the strange blood pupil technique to analyze the superdimensional lines contained in this arm, and understand the true superdimensional power bit by bit. Boom! Countless ultra-dimensional mysterious auras poured into his will, and were analyzed and understood by him bit by bit. The effect of this kind of enlightenment far exceeds any before, and the superdimensional epiphyleum is far inferior to this arm. But Yi Tian discovered that the superdimensional power on the superdimensional elf's arm was also dissipating. Although it was very slow, it would definitely be exhausted in the future. You must understand the true power of the superdimension before the power of the superdimensional elf's arm is exhausted. Yi Tianxin thought. In this way, the days passed slowly. If it weren't for the strange blood pupil, Yi Tian really wouldn't be sure to comprehend the true power of the extra dimension with one arm of the extra-dimensional elf. But now, he has full confidence. He has made unimaginable progress after just comprehending 100 billion Ji Dao era years, and is only the last step away from comprehending the power of extra dimensions. At most 50 trillion to the Dao era, I will understand. Yi Tian secretly said. As expected, after he comprehended 46 trillion more years of the ultimate era, he completely understood the superdimensional power between heaven and earth. Boom! Wisps of extra-dimensional power are integrated into his body. This is the real extra-dimensional power. Under this extra-dimensional power, Yi Tian's body began to transform, and all the extra-dimensional assimilation of the body by extra-dimensional things in the past was suppressed or collapsed. Certainly, even if you comprehend the true extra-dimensional power of extra-dimensional objects such as the Galan stone plate and the weird blood pupil, there is no way to solve the side effects. This is also the reason why the half-step super-dimension realm dare not integrate the strange blood pupils and the Galan stone plate. Subsequently, Yi Tian used the power of extra dimensions to refine those extra-dimensional resources to temper his eternal Dao seeds. The tempering effect of the eternal Dao seeds was increased by more than 10 times. This is because he is not very good at using extra-dimensional power. If he uses extra-dimensional power to create an extra-dimensional technique that can directly refine the eternal Dao seed, the cultivation speed will be faster. So in the following days, Yi Tian used the Galan stone plate to deduce the art of creating such a super dimension. Sure enough, it didn't take long for Yi Tian to successfully create it. This super card was called the super-dimensional tempering technique by him. Although the name is simple, its effect is really great. Boom! Under the power of the extra dimension, Yi Tian's eternal Dao seeds were tempered crazily, and there was no need to worry about the impact of the assimilation of the extra dimension. After all, he had already controlled the power of the extra dimension. The power of the extra dimension was already endless and would not be exhausted. At this time, his cultivation speed had increased by more than 100 times. In addition, after mastering the power of extra dimensions, every copy of the various extra-dimensional techniques he created in the past can be used without the need for extra-dimensional objects. But he also discovered that if there are extra-dimensional things, the effects of the corresponding extra-dimensional techniques will be much greater. Certainly, the extra-dimensional techniques corresponding to extra-dimensional objects such as Galan stone discs and strange blood pupils cannot be performed without the help of extra-dimensional objects. For example, the strange blood pupil technique requires the use of strange blood pupil. Later, Yi Tian tested how many extra-dimensional things he could fuse. The strange blood pupil fusion. Galan stone disc fusion. Fusion of Kunji wood fragments. He fused one extra-dimensional object after another. It was not until 10 extra-dimensional objects were fused that the fusion reached its limit. Certainly, now, for him, except for the strange blood pupil and the Galan stone disc, other extra-dimensional objects are of little use. Even the advanced extra-dimensional objects have little effect, and the extent to which his strength is improved is too small. According to the current improvement in strength, it won't be long before I can condense the 12th perfect eternal soul. Yi Tian murmured. Years pass. Yi Tian continued to practice and used various resources to help improve the eternal Dao seed. 0 Please give me flowers 0. Gradually, tens of millions of days and years passed. This day, Yi Tian's eternal Tao seed has been raised to its current limit. Then, he began to condense the 12th eternal world spirit. This time, he did not resort to any auxiliary resources, because he could break through 100% after comprehending the power of extra dimensions. Gather. The 12th eternal world spirit was easily condensed under the control of extra-dimensional power. The eternal Tao seed begins to transform, the physical body is also strengthening, and the power of the world god is also skyrocketing. After a long time, the transformation ended, and he was already a peak world god who condensed 12 eternal world spirits. A normal peak world god, after condensing 12 eternal world spirits, begins to comprehend the power of the extra-dimensional world. Once he understands it, he will hit the half-step super-dimensional realm. 0. Certainly, if one comprehends the power of extra-dimensionality, it is impossible to attack even half a step into the extra-dimensional realm. If Yi Tian is willing, he can indeed reach the half-step superdimensional realm in a short time, but he also wants to condense the 13th eternal world spirit, or even the 14th eternal world spirit. In this case, his foundation will be more solid and his strength will be stronger. But, Yi Tian also had to prepare a super-dimensional Tao seed inheritance for himself. He had previously purchased several high-level super-dimensional Tao seed inheritances and a bunch of ordinary super-dimensional Tao seed inheritances, but he didn't like them at the moment. He wants to create a perfect super-dimensional Taoist inheritance. We can only use the Galan stone plate. Yi Tian began to deduce, using the Galan stone plate to delay the inheritance of super-dimensional Taoism. However, his other cloned bodies are still improving their cultivation and tempering their eternal Tao seeds, and the two have no effect. At the same time, Yi Tian also sent a replica body into the super-dimensional storm. His current strength far exceeds that of the past. Even the blood shadow puppet is far from his opponent. Although he cannot defeat the half-step super-dimensional realm, with the help of the strange blood pupils, he can spy from further distances and encounter the half-step super-dimensional realm. Just escape from the dimension realm. In short, after comprehending the power of the extra-dimensional, it is very easy for him to walk in the extra-dimensional storm, and he can get more good things. In this way, the days gradually passed. In the blink of an eye, 30 billion Zidao era years have passed. Chapter 3159 Stone Plate Taoist Seed. 30 million years of the Supreme Tao era, we have finally created the perfect super-dimensional Tao seed inheritance. Yi Tian took a deep breath and said, he has now created the perfect super-dimensional Tao seed inheritance. If he immediately attacks the half-step super-dimensional realm, he can definitely condense the perfect super-dimensional Tao seed. Later, he gave this perfect super-dimensional Taoism a name, Stone Pan Taoism. After all, he used the Galan stone plate to deduce it, so the name is reasonable. After the Shipan Tao seed inheritance was created, Yi Tian no longer had to worry about the super-dimensional Tao seed inheritance. As long as he wanted to make a breakthrough in the future, he could break through it. In such a long time, the human race has given birth to many peak world gods. But it is a pity that the human race's resource consumption is very serious, and too many tribesmen stay in the world of the seam, making the world of the seam become crowded. The key is that the super-dimensional storm even affected the birth of the 7-0 world resources in the world seam. As for the eternal realm and the realm of the realm, it is even more impossible to generate resources. Except for the area covered by the super-dimensional formation, other places have been turned into ruins. Even the entire eternal realm and the realm of the realm are riddled with holes. The super-dimensional storm has caused too much damage to territory No. 7362. The eternal kingdom and the realm of gods will not be able to recover for a long time in the coming years. The impact on ordinary living beings is too great. Even the realm of the seam, it will be difficult to generate large amounts of resources frequently in the future. Yi Tian secretly said, it can be said that once the super-dimensional storm disappears, the supreme forces and those top surviving forces can only maintain their strength in a short period of time and cannot continue to improve. However, there is nothing we can do about it. Extra-dimensional storms are disasters and inevitable events. If Jalan treasure ship hadn't sold the extra-dimensional formation, more creatures would have fallen, and even many supreme forces would have been destroyed. Half of the extra-dimensional era has passed. I wonder how long this extra-dimensional storm will last. Yi Tian waited silently. His strength is also increasing rapidly. He feels that with his growth rate, perhaps after the end of the super-dimensional storm, there may be hope to condense the 13th eternal world spirit. After all, he has comprehended the true power of extra-dimensional power, and his cultivation level is naturally improving very quickly. The human temple. Yi Xingchen came to meet Yi Tian. Father, I want to fuse extra-dimensional things. Yi Xingchen said. Yi Tian looked at Yi Xingchen and naturally knew why Yi Xingchen had this idea, because the human race has given birth to many peak world gods, some of which are beginning to try to fuse fragments of lower extra-dimensional things. In addition, he created a lot of secret techniques and placed them in the human temple, which can be redeemed by any peak world god. Those secret techniques can help integrate extra-dimensional things. Of course, even so, fusion is still very difficult. Not even one of the 10 peak world gods may be able to successfully fuse, and it will take countless years. That is to say, Yi Tian will let them exchange various experiences of integrating extra-dimensional things at a very low price, otherwise the success rate will be even lower. However, the human race's pinnacle world god still succeeded in merging. Once the extra-dimensional thing is integrated, the extra-dimensional thing can be used to activate the extra-dimensional power contained in the extra-dimensional thing, and the combat effectiveness will be very terrifying. No matter how strong Yi Xingchen's foundation is, he may not be able to defeat the peak world god among the human race who has integrated extra-dimensional objects. Therefore, if Yi Xingchen wants to fuse extra-dimensional things, otherwise he will be unable to defeat the descendants of the human race with his own strength, which will naturally be very embarrassing. Yi Tian thought for a while and agreed. Although after fusing extra-dimensional things, the body will undergo the extra-dimensional assimilation of extra-dimensional things, but if you want to understand the true extra-dimensional power, merging extra-dimensional things is an indispensable link. After all, once you integrate extra-dimensional things, over time, you will have a little understanding of the power of extra-dimensional things. If you don't even integrate extra-dimensional things, then there is no hope of understanding the power of extra-dimensional things. Now that I have comprehended the true power of extradimensionality, and with the Galan stone plate, I can deduce some secret techniques to inhibit the assimilation of extradimensionalities so that the stars will not suffer the pain of assimilation of extradimensionalities. And in the future, as long as I understand the true superdimensional assimilation with the power of Wei, all those side effects no longer exist. It was precisely because of this that he agreed to Yi Xingchen's fusion of extra-dimensional things. Subsequently, Yi Tian chose the most suitable extra-dimensional object for his son, the Galaxy Stone. This extra-dimensional object is a low-level extra-dimensional object and is just a fragment. It is not difficult to fuse. With his assistance, it won't take long for Yi Xingchen to successfully fuse. Thank you, father. Yi Xingchen was excited. In the days that followed, Yi Tian continued to assist Yi Xingchen in integrating the extra-dimensional objects of the Galaxy Stone. It took him a long time and experienced more than a dozen failures before the integration was successful. When the fusion fails, the body is injured, and the resources consumed to repair the injuries are beyond the imagination of ordinary peak world gods. Yi Tiansai is the only one who doesn't care. After fusing the extra-dimensional object Galaxy Stone, Yi Tian personally used the Galan Stone disc to deduce the extra-dimensional technique suitable for the Galaxy Stone, and passed it directly to Yi Xingchen, so that Yi Xingchen did not need to create the extra-dimensional technique himself, and could directly practice these extra-dimensional techniques. After mastering these extra-dimensional techniques, Yi Xingchen's strength has skyrocketed. Coupled with the large number of extra-dimensional secret treasures given by Yi Tian, his combat power is no less than that of the gods of the two worlds. This day, a peak realm god from the supreme power Taichung Mountain sent a message for help. Taichung Mountain is the weaker party among the supreme forces, and several of the more powerful peak world gods have purchased the Galan treasure ship and left with their quotas. Today's Taichung Mountain is very weak, and this time Taichung Mountain asks for help because their ultra-dimensional formation is about to break. Is Taichung Mountain's superdimensional formation going to be broken? Yi Tian frowned slightly. It stands to reason that the extra-dimensional formation that Taichung Mountain purchased from the Jilanbao ship can withstand the extra-dimensional storm and will not be broken. But if you think about it carefully, there is only one reason, and that is that the materials used in the array are not up to standard. For example, some materials are missing and replaced with other materials, which makes this ultra-dimensional array not so strong. After all, not all supreme forces are rich and can gather all the 5.3 materials. The human race and Taichung Mountain have nothing to do with each other, so naturally they have nothing to do with each other. It was impossible for Taichung Mountain to ask for help, so he had to go to the rescue immediately. As a result, Yi Tian directly refused. Taichung Mountain. At this time, all the peak world gods had received Yi Tian's reply, and all of them were in a very bad mood. Yi Tian Realm God refused. As you have guessed, it is normal for Yi Tian Realm God not to come to save us at this time, but we have asked other supreme forces for help. None of the other supreme forces can save us. Only Yi Tian Realm God may have a way. This time, he is rejection, not failure to save us. But how to convince Yi Tian Realm God? What can we in Taichung Mountain get? Suddenly, one of the Peak Realm Gods said, how about taking out that thing? Chapter 3160 Superdimensional Taoist Soldiers. That thing. Most of the Peak World Gods don't know what it is, and only a few Peak World Gods who are in charge of Taichung Mountain's treasure house know it. And because that thing was so weird, the Peak World Gods who bought the Galan treasure ship and left with the ship's quota didn't take it with them. It is a bloody fragment, like a fragment of some weapon. Do not touch it directly, otherwise it will be drained of eternal Tao seeds. Moreover, you do not dare to carry it with you in the void in your body, otherwise the void will collapse. A Peak World God introduced. Said, since we obtained this treasure in Taichung Mountain, it has been stored in the deepest part of the treasure house and blessed with various seals. Moreover, the seals will continue to be blessed every once in a while, otherwise the seal will not last long. If an unknown weapon fragment can be exchanged for the survival of Taichung Mountain, it is naturally worth it, but is Yi Tian Realm God really willing? Another Peak World God asked. We can only give it a try, said the Peak World God who made the suggestion. Subsequently, the three Peak World Gods went to get the weapon fragment, and then left Taichung Mountain with the weapon fragment. They can enter and exit the realm of the seam and enter the eternal realm. The extra-dimensional storm in the eternal realm is not very powerful, and they can persist for a long time. 05 Very quickly. They came to the entrance of the endless seam realm, contacted the world god Yi Tian, and wanted to exchange this weapon fragment for Yi Tian's action. Taichung Mountain hasn't given up yet. Yi Tian didn't want to pay attention to Taichung Mountain, and he didn't think Taichung Mountain could come up with anything good. However, when he peeked into the outside world and looked at the weapon fragments brought by the Peak World Gods, he suddenly showed a look of surprise. These Peak World Gods did not touch the fragment directly, but controlled the extra-dimensional power of extra-dimensional objects to wrap the weapon fragment at a relatively far distance. Obviously, this weapon is very dangerous. This weapon, separated by a boundary seam in the star dimension void heaven formation, Yi Tian couldn't tell the origin of this weapon for a while, but it was definitely extraordinary. Whoosh! Yi Tian came out of the endless realm seam and came to the Peak Realm Gods of Taichung Mountain. I've seen Yi Tianji God. Several Peak World Gods in Taichung Mountain said respectfully. At this moment, they felt that the aura on Yi Tian's body was much stronger than before, and it was obvious that there had been another breakthrough, reaching a level that they could hardly fathom. I want these weapon fragments. I can help you in Taichung Mountain. Yi Tian agreed directly. Thank you God Yi Tianji. These Peak World Gods said excitedly. Let's go. Yi Tian said. He followed these Peak World Gods to the Taichung Mountain headquarters. This extra-dimensional formation really won't last long. Yi Tian frowned. Nowadays, there are cracks everywhere here, that is, those Peak World Gods have been maintaining the formation and consuming a lot of resources to supply energy, otherwise this ultra-dimensional formation would have been broken long ago. Yi Tian Realm God, is there any other way to resist the dimensional storm? A Peak Realm God from Taichung Mountain asked. Yi Tian thought for a while and said, there are two ways. One is to repair this extra-dimensional formation. However, under the sweeping ultra-dimensional storm, this extra-dimensional formation cannot stop. If it does not stop, it will not be able to proceed. Repair. The second way is that I sit here and maintain this extra-dimensional formation. Of course, there are other ways, such as transferring members of Taichung Mountain, but during the transfer process, many members may die. If the transfer is frequent, once the formation is broken, many weak creatures will die. Therefore, transfer is the most helpless way. Yi Tian Realm God, can you hold on to this extra-dimensional law? The Peak Realm Gods of Taichung Mountain were a little skeptical. No problem, Yi Tian said. It was difficult for them to refute, so they could only let Yi Tian try. Subsequently, Yi Tian entered the core of the super-dimensional formation in Taichung Mountain and took over the super-dimensional formation. Immediately afterwards, he activated the real extra-dimensional power. Only true extra-dimensional power can unleash the power of extra-dimensional formations. After Yi Tian controlled this extra-dimensional formation, he immediately withstood the extra-dimensional storm easily. The formation was stabilized and would not continue to break in a short time. Seeing this scene, all the peak ghosts and gods in Taizai Mountain were dumbfounded. You can easily stabilize this ultra-dimensional formation that is about to be broken by yourself. What kind of strength is this? Since Yi Tian was at the core of the formation and now fully controlled the formation, they did not know that what Yi Tian was activating was the real extra-dimensional power. However, they don't care about this issue either. For them, as long as they can survive, that's fine. Ever since Yi Tian stabilized Taichung Mountain's super-dimensional formation and stayed in Taichung Mountain for a long time, until the end of the super-dimensional storm, Taichung Mountain also gave the weapon fragment to Yi Tian. Yi Tian's returned to the human race with this fragment and began to study it. This small fragment can drain the eternal Tao seed of a peak world god. I wonder if it will absorb my eternal Tao seed. Yi Tian reached out and touched it. Boom! A terrifying suction force came, and his eternal Tao seed was drained of its original energy, and it would not be long before it would be sucked dry. Superdimensional power, suppression. After Yi Tian activated the extra-dimensional power to suppress the fragment, the suction power disappeared. What a terrifying absorption. No 1033 can resist the peak world god who has not comprehended the power of extra-dimensional power. No wonder the peak world god in Taichung Mountain dare not touch it at all. Yi Tian murmured. Subsequently, he began to study the fragment carefully, and after a long time he finally had a guess in his mind. If his guess was not wrong, this weapon fragment should be a fragment of a super-dimensional Taoist soldier, and it is not an ordinary super-dimensional Taoist soldier. Super-dimensional Taoist weapons are weapons based on super-dimensional secret treasures. They are refined by beings in the super-dimensional realm. They cannot be refined even in half a step in the super-dimensional realm. For example, the little sword that was activated in the end by the half-step super-dimensional realm who fought with the super-dimensional elves in the Death Void was most likely a super-dimensional Taoist weapon. If you want to mobilize the super-dimensional Tao soldiers, it is not enough to rely on the power of the super-dimensional. You also need powerful super-dimensional Tao power, and Yi Tian is only at the peak of the world god cultivation level. If he were given a super-dimensional weapon, he would be unable to activate it even if he exhausted his life. However, this is just a fragment of the super-dimensional Taoist soldier. Maybe he can activate it, but he has to create a super-dimensional technique that can cooperate with him to control this fragment. Only then can he hope to activate it. Then, in the following days, Yi Tian worked hard to create such a super-dimensional technique, relying on the Galan stone plate, spending hundreds of billions of years and countless attempts. Finally on this day, he created it.